Chapter 1101. Bai Lai sighed. Grand Senior Brother Finluan naturally looked at Bai Lai. It was obvious that Bai Lai knew some of the reasons why Lung Yu and Gu Xing were unwilling to save the Plum Blossom Sprite. Seniors, it's been so long. For tens of thousands of years, countless monster clans in the infinite worlds have been tortured and suffered for several lifetimes because of this. Isn't that enough? Bai Lai said. Lung Yu snorted, but did not say anything. Gu Xing frowned and did not speak. Lao Bai, what's going on? Grand Senior Brother asked. Sigh. Bai Lai looked at Grand Senior Brother Finluan and sighed. Hey gnome, have you heard of the demon curse? The demon curse? Grand Senior Brother paused, then seemed to remember something. However, I've only heard of it. I'm not too sure about the specifics. Bai Lai smiled bitterly and nodded. The demon curse is the oldest curse in all the realms. It affects the fate of all the demons in all the realms. Bai Lai looked at the purple box. I think if not for the demon curse, the Plum Blossom Sprite would not have ended up like this, neither alive nor dead. Lung Yu and Gu Xing sat on their rocking chairs, unmoved. However, they were no longer sitting lazily. Bai Lai saw that Lung Yu and Gu Xing had no intention of stopping him, so he continued to talk to Grand Senior Brother Finluan. Hey gnome, there are stage 9 Lotus Knight cultivators in every village. Cultivators below stage 5 Lotus Knight are very common in Luo Fan Town. The two elders are both at the peak of Lotus Knight, but you've never seen a cultivator above stage 5 Lotus Knight in Cut Sleeves Village, right? Oh, Grand Senior Brother Finluan nodded. He rarely thought about this question, but now that Bai Lai asked, he thought about it carefully and realized that it was true. There were no cultivators at stage 5 Lotus Knight, let alone those above stage 5 Lotus Knight. All the cultivators in the village knew that the status of the two ancestors was extremely high. Their history was older than East Hedge. However, other than them, there were no other high-level Lotus warriors in the Cut Sleeves village. Why didn't they accept disciples? Eldest Senior Brother Finluan thought. If they had disciples, they would definitely be cultivators at the 9th tier of the Lotus Realm. After all, there were many cultivators at the 9th level of the Lotus Realm in the various villages of Luo Fan Town. Actually, the two of them once accepted a disciple. Bai Lai could see the doubt in Big Senior Brother Finluan's heart. However, that disciple died later on. Oh, Eldest Senior Brother Finluan was taken aback. This was the first time he heard that the two ancestors of the Cut Sleeves village had a disciple. Before this, he only knew that they had many descendants of the monster race in the infinite worlds, but not a single disciple. I've never seen that female disciple before either. However, I've heard the Windwheel Monarch mention this before. Wang Jun once said that this female disciple has the aptitude to become a Law Emperor. The aptitude of a Law Emperor. Eldest Senior Brother Windmill was shocked. The aptitude of a Law Emperor meant that he could surpass all the cultivators in Fallen Mortal Town. This was because none of the cultivators in Fallen Mortal Town could become a Law Emperor. Of course, from his point of view, Sumo was not one of them. That's right. Bai Lai nodded. It said that she became a venerable in 100,000 years and a lotus in 1,000,000 years. Her talent was unparalleled. Wang Jun said that if that girl did not die, she would definitely become a Law Emperor. It's a pity that she died. Why did she die? Eldest Senior Brother Finluan asked. Because she fell in love with someone she shouldn't have. The one who answered him was not Bai Lai, but Lung Yu. In order to ensure the purity of our bloodline, we of a monster race should marry the monster race. However, that disciple of mine was extremely talented and thought that she was different from the others. She insisted on marrying someone from a different race. Gu Xing sneered. In the end, she lived 2 lives. In the first life, she fell in love with a fiendish cultivator. After going through many hardships, she was abandoned by the fiendish cultivator. In the second life, she fell in love with a human cultivator. Unexpectedly, she died in the hands of a human cultivator. At that time, she was already a Lotus Knight, so she did not even have the chance to reincarnate. Lung Yu said, even if we avenged her, it would not help the situation. If she was alive, Gu Xing smiled sadly. Perhaps we would not be in Luo Fantown's cut-sleeve village. Lung Yu looked in the direction of White Mountain and sneered. Unfortunately, there are no ifs in this world. Once a Lotus Knight dies, it is an irreversible matter. So, Lung Yu and I, in the name of the monster race's ancestor, cast a curse. The corner of Gu Xing's mouth curved, revealing a cold and strange smile. Many of the monster race thought that this curse was cast by an ancient venerable of the monster race. Lung Yu sneered. Actually, not many of the monster race knew that this was a curse cast by their ancestor. So, in all the realms, no matter which realm or which era they are in, they're all under our curse. No matter if she is a venerable or a Lotus Knight, she cannot escape. Gu Xing suddenly chuckled. However, as he laughed, tears appeared in his eyes. He looked at the purple box. Actually, Lung Yu and Gu Xing could feel the monster chi in the purple box. They even understood that the reason why the plum blossom sprite became like this had a lot to do with their curse. Because with the curse, the love between human and demon would be endlessly bumpy, and there would be no happiness. I cast this curse with my blood. Everyone of my race, those who love demons, will be loved forever. Everyone of my race, those who love demons, will have no fate with life or death. Everyone of my race, those who love demons, will mourn for 10,000 years. Love between demons and demons will shed blood every night, will be desolate for eternity. Love between humans and demons will be slaves for life, will be exterminated. Lung Yu coldly uttered the curse from back then. This was the first time eldest senior brother Windwheel heard the complete curse, and he could not help but feel a chill down his spine. What kind of hatred and resentment was this? It seemed that the death of that female disciple made Lung Yu and Gu Xing extremely pained. Gu Xing sneered and said, "The two lotus souls of the Three Realms galaxy are very interesting. One is a human, who made the crow race's bird willing to be a slave for life, landing on his left shoulder. The other is a demon, who made the plum blossom sprite not change its mind even after 10,000 reincarnations, and ended up like this. I really don't understand. Why did they do it? Are there no good men in the demon race? There are many strange things in the Three Realms." Lung Yu added coldly, "If you don't see, that little fox doesn't dare to come to Fallen Mortal Town. Most likely she knows the truth of the curse, and is afraid of us." Gu Xing snorted coldly. The two old ancestors were worried sick for the demon race, but there would always be disobedient descendants in the demon race. Seniors, Bai Lai listened to Lung Yu and Gu Xing's words before speaking again. Actually, the hatred in your hearts has already been reduced by half. The punishment for the demon race is already enough. Why don't you help this plum blossom sprite once today? Lung Yu frowned. Gu Xing did not speak. Then, the two of them looked at each other, but eventually shook their heads at the same time. They did not want to save her. When Bai Lai saw this, he let out a long sigh in his heart. Then he took 2 steps forward and directly knelt on the ground. He knelt side by side with eldest senior brother Windwheel. "White Mountain Windwheel Palace's child begs the two of you," Bai Lai said sorrowfully. "Seniors, please save that plum blossom sprite's life on account of Wang Jun back then." Chapter 1102. I have just updated the last chapter for 2020. Today is the last day of 2020, so I will post a single chapter of my speech. Actually, I rarely post a single chapter of my speech in this book. Firstly, I am busy. Secondly, I always feel that there is nothing to say. Instead of writing all these boring words, I might as well write a few more words. However, today is different. I will draw a sentence for 2020. Looking back on this year, it is boring and tasteless. The only thing that can be considered as gratifying is that I have been persevering in writing this book. Whether the results are good or bad, writing books is a kind of life support for me. If I do not write books, I might not be able to live. Laugh. After all, there are many things in life that are not easy. I can find a balance in the book. I comfort myself that I am actually still a writer. Perhaps everyone needs this kind of self-comfort. In this corner that many people do not know, There's a little bit of happiness that belongs to me. In a few hours, 2020 will be gone. Actually, it is very strange. Every year at this time, I want the past to leave quickly and the future to come quickly. However, the future will eventually become the past. I seem to have the same state of mind last year on this day. I was full of expectations for 2020. Now, I'm also full of expectations for 2021. However, it does not seem to be as strong as last year. I hope that the country will be prosperous and the people will be at peace in 2021. Laugh. The epidemic has indeed affected many things. I hope that everyone can be healthy. I hope that all the unhappiness in 2020 will come to an abrupt end in a few hours, and 2021 will give us new hope. Life is like reincarnation. I really think so. Day after day, month after month, year after year, from birth to death. I do not know if it will really be a cycle. I hope that we are all in the lotus realm and will not come again if we fall, because it is really tiring. However, when we are alive, we still have to be exciting. Forget all the hate, remember all the kindness. Then live in the moment. Actually, life is like this. Thinking of Su Shi's poem, the misty rain on Mount Lu and the tide of Zhejiang, all the hate will not disappear until it arrives. Nothing else. The misty rain on Mount Lu and the tide of Zhejiang. The first time, when I read this poem, I did not like it. However, recently, I have been constantly thinking about it. He is right, extremely right. In 2021, I hope that there will be positive changes for me in my book. I also hope that the readers of the Book of Mountains and Rivers can be healthy and happy. Brothers and sisters, thank you for another year of company. Because of all of you, there is Ikizang Samsara. Because of all of you, I have always wanted to continue writing it. In 2021, may you still be around. This was the same as in previous years. Shauna would work hard and work hard. Happy New Year! Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the lack of updates. My vacation is about to begin. I'm just afraid that I'll write Izong to death. Chapter 11:03. When Bai Lai knelt down, Lung Yu and Gu Xing raised their eyebrows and stood up immediately. Eldest senior brother Finluan was also dumbfounded. This was because Bai Lai had a very special position in the Finluan lineage. In name, he was only a guardian boy of the Finluan palace. In reality, he was the most important person in the Finluan lineage. This was because he had an immortal body below the true method. Behind the Finluan monarch, he was the guide of every generation of Finluan disciples. His cultivation level could only be at the 7th level of the Lotus Realm. However, without Bai Lai, there would not be a Finluan 9th generation. Normally, even though the Windwheel children would call him Old Bai, they still treated him with great respect. Bai Lai, what are you doing? Lung Yu asked directly. Get up, Gu Xing shouted. In all the worlds, there weren't many cultivators who knew of their past and could still chat with them. In the entire Luo fan town, Bai Lai was the only one who was from the same generation as them. Therefore, Lung Yu and Gu Xing looked at Bai Lai differently from others. In the town, only Bai Lai had the right to address them as seniors. The other cultivators could only address them as ancestors. If the two seniors don't agree, I won't get up, Bai Lai said. Lung Yu could not help but laugh. Bai Lai, do you really think that you are Xiao Bai? You have assisted several generations of Finluan children and lived for tens of thousands of years. Look at you now. Lao Bai, eldest senior brother Finluan, felt that it was fine for him to kneel, but he felt that it was inappropriate for Bai Lai to kneel with him. You shut up, Bai Lai shouted at eldest senior brother Finluan. Eldest senior brother could only shut his mouth obediently. Seniors, I, Bai Lai, should kneel to you, Bai Lai said. I only hope that you will save the Plum Blossom Fairy for the sake of the monarch. Sigh. Lung Yu and Gu Xing looked at each other and sighed together. When will monarch, haha. Lung Yu smiled bitterly. We have to give that old man face. Now, the only one who can speak on behalf of the Windrow monarch is Bai Lai. Get up. After saying that, Lung Yu waved her long sleeves. Bai Lai and eldest senior brother felt an irresistible, gentle force lifting them up. Thank you, senior, Bai Lai said. Many thanks to the two ancestors, eldest senior brother said excitedly. They understood that the two monster race progenitors had agreed. Lone Star also waved his long sleeves. Eldest senior brother's purple box had already landed in Gu Xing's palm. Gu Xing frowned as he looked at the purple box. We promise you to save her. However, we don't have 100% confidence. After all, this plum blossom sprite was almost dead. Even if we use our own soul blood to nourish her, we may not be able to truly resurrect her. After all, she isn't Lung Yu and I. She doesn't have an immortal body. Hey, Gnome understands. Seniors, please do your best, Bai Lai said. The rest will depend on her own luck. Gu Xing nodded. However, we need some time. Resurrecting her is not something that can be done in 3 to 5 years. Return to Wind will first and wait for news. All right. Hey, Nong and Bai Lai did not say much. We'll take our leave. Wait. Lung Yu stopped them. Bai Lai, it's best that you make a trip to Star River Village. Oh. Bai Lai stopped in his tracks. What do you need me to do? In Star River Village, there's a pair of phoenixes. They also have an immortal body. If you can get a drop of their phoenix blood, we will have more confidence. All right. Bai Lai nodded. Seniors, please rest assured. We will definitely deliver the phoenix blood. Lung Yu and Gu Xing nodded. Thus, Bai Lai and Shi Xiang bade farewell and left. In Cut Sleeve Village, only Lung Yu and Gu Xing were left. They looked at each other, then shook their heads and smiled bitterly. As expected, nothing good happens when Wind Wheel comes. Lung Yu said, Hee hee. Gu Xing nodded and looked at the box in his palm. However, we really don't have the confidence to save this plum blossom fairy. Let's do our best. Lung Yu looked into the distance. Cut Sleeve Village was a beautiful place with beautiful scenery. This was the village that they had carefully chosen. Gu Xing, Cut Sleeve Village is slowly becoming a large world. In such a large world, it seems a little lonely with only the two of us. Lung Yu said. Gu Xing smiled and nodded. You and I have the same thoughts. Why don't we let the spiritual children and celestial children return to the village? It was about time for them to improve their cultivation. Moreover, Yizong's purification might soon affect the wisdom world. All right, Lung Yu nodded. Let the spiritual children and celestial children return. They can also bring some of their clansmen. I remember that the Plum Blossom Fairy was once a disciple of celestial children. Her return will be helpful. That's right. Gu Xing nodded and immediately formed a hand seal, setting up a communication array. Before long, Lucidum and Celestial Lotus would return. Lung Yu and Gu Xing stood in Cut Sleeve Village and fell into a strange silence. This kind of silence was actually very rare for them. In the distance, mountains and rivers surrounded them, flowers fragrant and birds chirping. Actually, to the demon race, they could all become cultivators one day. Lung Yu's and Gu Xing's gazes were somewhat distant. They seemed to be thinking about the same thing. Lung Yu, Gu Xing, the two of them turned their heads at almost the same time and called each other's names. Immediately, they looked at each other and smiled. Their eyes were filled with love. They were originally mentally connected. Let's remove that ancient curse. Lung Yu smiled at Gu Xing and said, Bai Lai is right. Everything that happened in the past is irreversible. Yaoer only met the wrong person. In the infinite worlds, be it humans, demons, or demons, they're actually degenerates. That Sumo did not let down the Plum Blossom. That AMU did not bully Blackbird either. Gu Xing let out a long sigh. Everything that happened was of her own will. She was willing to turn into a bird and fall on his shoulder for generations to come. In the infinite worlds, the demon race also has ungrateful people. Lung Yu said, Yes. Gu Xing nodded. Thus, the two of them sat on a rocking chair again and snuggled together. Then, one of their hands clasped together, while the other hand formed a seal. Whoosh, whoosh. When they looked again, a green stone tablet appeared in the void. On the stone tablet, the demon race's curse tablet was engraved. Every word was blood red and seemed to be dripping blood. The curse that happened in the past was extremely terrifying. Disperse. Lung Yu and Gu Xing breathed out at the same time. Whoosh. When they looked again, the blood-red words on the green stone tablet were disappearing bit by bit. Then, the entire tablet began to dissipate into mist. Seeing the curse that had existed for tens of thousands of years dissipate, Lung Yu and Gu Xing looked at each other and smiled. At that moment, it was also a kind of release for them. Sometimes, people needed to let go of some obsessions. Once the curse is removed, I think it won't be long before that little fox returns to the mortal realm. Lung Yu smiled and said, "When the world changes again, our legacy should be passed down to a demon race." Chapter 1104. White Mountain, Third Layer Heaven. There were even mountains in this place. At the foot of the mountain, immortal mist lingered, misty. Within the immortal mist, there was also an ancient pine, a chess game, and a stone bench. However, the two black and white figures were gone. However, the situation in front of him was already different from before. The game of chess had already undergone a great change. However, the situation was still tense, and the victor could not be seen for the time being. Everything was still unknown. The two ancestors of the Cut Sleeves village were right. The two players on White Mountain had indeed sealed the game once again. At the foot of the mountain, there were occasional breezes and birds. However, there was no sign of anyone. To Bai Shan, this was just an ordinary afternoon. At this moment, a young girl appeared at the foot of the mountain. Purple robes, long hair, and skin as white as snow. Wang Shui's beauty had always been different from others. That kind of beauty seemed to be the beauty of the beginning of heaven and earth, and it always had a trace of slyness. At this moment, Wang Shui stood next to the chessboard and frowned slightly. Her eyes were extremely strange. Purple blood demon eyes. It was a pair of eyes that only a few cultivators in the infinite worlds possessed. At this time, the whole chess game was reflected in Wang Shui's eyes. However, those black and white chess pieces were no longer chess pieces, but scenes in endless smoke. Using all the realms as go, using all things as pieces. A black piece or a white piece often represented a lotus scholar or several lotus scholars, or even an entire world. Even lotus scholars would not dare to imagine such a game of chess, let alone mortals. Wang Shui frowned. At present, with her current realm, she could not completely understand this chess game. She could only see the gist of it, but some of the key chess pieces were still a cloud of smoke in her eyes. After a moment, Wang Shui retracted her gaze. This was because she knew that she couldn't watch this game for too long. Otherwise, it was very likely that she would be unable to extricate herself from it. Immediately, Wang Shui's figure moved and left the foot of the mountain, heading straight to the south of the mountain. In the third realm, one side of the mountain faced the yang, and the other side was yin. Of course, this yin and yang was not because of the sun. In the White Mountain realm, there was no such thing as a sun. The yin and yang here were based on the color of the mountain. One side of the mountain was white, while the other side was black. And the reason why the cultivators of the infinite worlds have always seen mountains as white was because of this. That was because they were all in the south of White Mountain. The Lotus warriors of all realms had no idea that there was another side to White Mountain. Actually, this could only be understood after ascending the third layer of White Mountain. Otherwise, even if you climbed the White Mountain, you wouldn't be able to see everything clearly in the first and second layer. However, Wang Shui saw it clearly and knew everything, because she had been on White Mountain for a long time. Wang Shui didn't use any special body technique. It would be disrespectful to the great Lotus Venerable to use magic arts when reaching the peak of the third level. Therefore, Wang Shui walked up step by step. Halfway up the mountain, there was a cave. In front of the Immortal's cave, white lights scattered in all directions and layers of clouds and mist. The most special thing was that there were actually several 9-colored lotuses growing on the cliff wall of the cave entrance. Wang Shui had never seen this kind of lotus flower in any other realm except the peak of White Mountain. 9 lives lotus. Wang Shui once asked, "Is the lotus named 9 lives and 9 lives because it can reincarnate 9 lives?" The answer she got was no. It was called the 9 lives lotus because 9 was the largest number. These lotuses had existed since time immemorial, immortal lotuses that existed alongside true methods. They were one level higher than the realm lotus. because they were born before the realm of true methods. This reminded Wang Shui of the legend of the Nirvana realm that she had heard before. The Nirvana flower was also born before the three realms. Before the three realms, there were actually many worlds. The vast sea and the dark sovereign had witnessed the reincarnation of the three realms. However, they didn't know that they were actually the souls of the realm lotus of the White Robe King. Wang Shui stood outside the cave and was slightly stunned, because she was thinking that the current situation seemed to be very similar to the situation of the three realms in the past. In the past, in the three realms, the vast sea and the netherworld fought happily. Now, wasn't it the same on White Mountain? Then, above the two great lotus venerables, would there be an existence like the White Robe King? If there was, then what about higher levels? Wang Shui didn't dare to think about it. That was because there would never be an end to such questions. Phew! Wang Shui took a deep breath. Shui is here, come in. Inside the cave, the voice of a middle-aged man came. This voice was exactly the same as the voice of the White Shadow, who played chess at the foot of the mountain that day. Yes, Wang Shui stepped through the clouds and directly entered the cave. This cave was not very deep. From the entrance to the inner cave, it was only 490 feet. Usually, there was only one servant boy in this cave abode. Other than that, there was only one great lotus venerable. Wang Shui entered the inner cave. Looking again, there was a lotus flower-shaped praying mat in the middle of the cave. On the praying mat, there was a middle-aged cultivator sitting cross-legged. He was dressed in white, and his eyes were slightly closed. What was more special was that he had a head full of white hair. That white hair was different from Xing Fei's. Xing Fei's hair was silver, but this cultivator's hair was completely snow white. However, that snow white hair was glowing, and it didn't seem old at all. Behind the white-haired cultivator stood a boy who looked only 7 or 8 years old. That boy had red lips and white teeth. He had 2 dimples and was wearing a small Taoist robe that fit him well. He was harmless and extremely adorable. Although he was a boy, Wang Shui knew that if this boy went to the lower realm, he could completely beat up a 9th-stage Lotus Knight. Because he was a Dharma Lotus Venerable. Shui kowtows to revered master. Wang Shui took a few steps forward and then knelt on one knee. The white-haired cultivator slowly opened his eyes. Get up. Thank you, revered master. Wang Shui stood up and then stood at the side with her hands down, looking very respectful. Shui, do you know why master is looking for you? The white-haired cultivator looked at Wang Shui and said with a smile. Shui doesn't know. Wang Shui said. Hee. The white-haired cultivator laughed and said, When you came, did you pass by the foot of the mountain and look at the heaven and earth chess game? Disciple saw it. Wang Shui said truthfully. How is it? Disciple is slow-witted. Wang Shui smiled helplessly. Disciple couldn't even see clearly what a lot of chess pieces were. So, Disciple didn't dare to comment. Hee. Is there anything on this white mountain that you don't dare to do? The white-haired cultivator said. Cough, cough. When Wang Shui heard this, she couldn't help but blush. Then, she hurriedly coughed twice. Disciple definitely wouldn't dare to do something that revered master doesn't allow. That sounds nice. The white-haired cultivator pretended to be angry. I'm afraid you have done a lot of things. Back then, who was the one that gave the token that I gave you to the 3-realm Lotus Soul? Wang Shui really wanted to say that she accidentally lost it, but she felt that it was too fake. Fortunately, she blushed and didn't speak. She knew that master wouldn't do anything to her. Who was the one that gave him a fake order to refine a golden body? Disciple is wrong. When Wang Shui heard this, she hurriedly squeezed out a few drops of tears. Disciple just wanted to share master's burden. Forget it. Forget it. When Wang Shui cried, the white-haired cultivator's heart immediately softened. He sighed and said, Shui, you're the last disciple that I accepted. Master loves you the most. There are many things that you did not do wrong. However, don't worry. Master will not lose in chess. Your father and mother will be fine. Thank you, Master. Wang Shui immediately wiped her tears. We agreed to seal the heaven and earth chess game for 3,000 years, the white-haired cultivator said. And in these 3,000 years, whether that Sumo can survive or not will depend on his own luck. However, you're not allowed to descend to the lower realm to help him directly, the white-haired cultivator said solemnly. Master, Wang Shui still wanted to argue. If she didn't help him, he probably wouldn't be able to. Sure, this is my agreement with Moz. The white-haired cultivator waved his hand and said, if you descend to the lower realm, he will naturally send his own disciple to help. When that time comes, it will be a bit messy. But the white-haired cultivator paused. But what? Wang Shui's eyes lit up. But I will allow you to descend to the galaxy village once. At the same time, you will kill a Fa Lien Supreme. However, you cannot reveal anything about Bai Shan's chess game at all. Understand? The white-haired cultivator said. Thank you, master. When Wang Shui heard this, she immediately came over and gave her master a big hug. Then, she winked at the boy behind her. Senior brother boy, how about going to the lower realm with me? Killing a supreme king would be great. The boy's eyes suddenly lit up. He was also a warmonger. Chapter 1105. Go to the lower realm and kill the king. When White Lotus Child heard Wang Shui's words, his eyes lit up instantly, and his little thoughts were hooked. He hadn't been to the lower realm for a long time. It was boring to stay in this cave house every day. Nonsense. The white-clothed Great Lotus Venerable shouted. Master! Wang Shui immediately pouted, and her eyes turned red. You know the situation in the lower realm now. The bet between you and Black Lotus Emperor has already bet on the fate of the various realms. Some of the changes in the various realms are already beyond your expectations. You are all cultivating the Dharma Lotus King. I'm not the real Dharma Lotus King yet. If I accidentally get killed when I go down, shut up. White Lotus Emperor interrupted Wang Shui. Shui'er, don't talk nonsense. You're my last disciple. How can you be killed in the various realms? That's not necessarily true. Wang Shui pouted and said unwillingly, back then my father and mother were also, okay. White Lotus Emperor interrupted Wang Shui again, and then suddenly felt a headache. He couldn't help but reach out and rub his eyebrows. Master, do you have a headache? Wang Shui asked with concern. Then, senior brother Tongzi, and I will go find medicine for you. Find medicine? Find what medicine? I guess you're going to kidnap my White Lotus Child to the lower realm. Then my head will hurt even more. I'm fine. White Lotus Emperor sighed helplessly. I agree to let your senior brother White Lotus go with you. However, let's make it clear first. You must not act rashly. Killing one Dharma Emperor is the limit. Otherwise, I won't be able to clean up the heaven and earth chessboard. Thank you, Master. Shui understands. Wang Shui smiled mischievously. You must not kill too many. White Lotus Emperor reminded again. Remember, otherwise it will affect the heaven and earth chessboard, and it will affect your parents' seal. Wang Shui's expression became solemn. Master, don't worry. I know what to do. White Lotus Emperor turned around and said to White Lotus Child, Child, you rarely go down to the lower realm. When you go down to the lower realm, listen to your junior sister Shui'er. I understand. Child White Lotus was overjoyed. So, Wang Shui left the cave house with White Lotus Boy. Both of them were extremely happy. Wang Shui was naturally happy to bring White Lotus Boy along. She knew that this senior brother Tongzi was a super fighter. His battle prowess is second to none in Fahrenheit. Boy White Lotus was also happy. It had been a long time since he had descended to the lower realm. From White Mountain to the lower realm, not only did he feel like he could do whatever he wanted, but the world had also become richer. Eating, drinking, and playing were all available. The White Mountain Cave abode was simply too boring. Senior brother Tongzi, how is it? Wang Shui said as she walked. Do I always think of you when I have good things? White Lotus Boy nodded, but then he said, But, why didn't you bring me with you last time? I heard that you brought back a peacock last time. Last time, I sneaked down the mountain, Wang Shui said with a bitter face. You don't know, but I was chased by Master Mu. When I saw the immeasurable ship, I ran away and was almost caught. Later, I took the initiative to come back. Didn't you see it? I was scolded by Master, and I even faced the wall for 3 days. If I bring you down, won't I implicate you? Wang Shui raised her small face. Can I, Wang Shui, do such a thing? This time, we have a legitimate reason to follow Master's decree to patrol the lower realm and kill the Dharma King. And hearing this, Boy White Lotus nodded repeatedly. However, Junior Sister Shui, you haven't told me about the peacock. Wang Shui smiled and said, Don't worry, Senior Brother Tongzi. I know what you mean, but the peacock's meat is not delicious at all. That peacock is a venerable realm expert. I raised it in the backyard as a pet. In a while, I will summon it and let it be your mount. How about it? Venerable realm mount? Boy White Lotus' face turned bitter. Isn't the realm too low? Why don't we eat the meat? Who cares if it's delicious or not? Let's try it. Wang Shui smiled and said, Senior Brother Tongzi, peacock meat is really not delicious, and it is an old peacock. As for food, I have already thought of it for you. Really? Boy White Lotus' eyes lit up again. Of course, Wang Shui said. In the lower realm, you must suppress your realm. I will take you to Luo Fan Town. My grandfather, grandmother, and aunt are all there. There will be endless wine, meat, and spiritual food. My aunt's cooking skills are unparalleled in the lower realm. My aunt's alcohol tolerance is the best in the world. At that time, I will let my aunt make you the best spiritual food in the lower realm, and I will let my aunt drink the best wine in the lower realm with you. Then, we will get drunk. How about it? Really? Boy White Lotus said excitedly. Of course. Wang Shui's face turned serious. Senior Brother Tongzi, when did I lie to you? That's true. However, if there's a fight in the lower realm, you have to help me. Wang Shui deliberately said very seriously, Master is not here, so you're my biggest backer. Of course. Boy White Lotus patted his chest. If anyone dares to bully my junior sister Shui, I will be the first to not agree. Thank you, Senior Brother Tongzi. Wang Shui said. Junior sister Shui, let's go now. Boy White Lotus couldn't wait anymore. Okay. Wang Shui and Boy White Lotus directly went down the 3rd level of White Mountain and went to the 2nd level. This 2nd level was where Wang Shui usually cultivated. Then, she waved with one hand. Whoosh, from the southeast, a peacock flew directly. That peacock was tall and majestic, with a 5-colored glow on its body. That was the Peacock King that Wang Shui subdued in the past. However, it had long been erased of its former consciousness, and it had become a divine bird. Pretty good. Boy White Lotus glanced at the peacock and nodded slightly. It's just that its realm is too low, and it is a bit shameful as a mount. Forget it. I will give it a good fortune. With that, Boy White Lotus pointed with one hand. Whoosh! A white light emitted from Boy White Lotus's fingertip and directly poured into the peacock's forehead. Whoosh! In an instant, it was bathed in divine light. That was endless lotus light. Ayo, ayo! That Peacock King suddenly looked up to the sky and screamed. Looking again, its rainbow-colored feathers had directly turned snow white. It became a white peacock. The white light was dazzling. At the same time, its realm directly rose from the Venerable Realm to the Lotus Realm. Venerable Falian's method was naturally extraordinary. Senior Brother Tongzi Mighty, Wang Shui flattered. This can barely be used as a mount. Boy White Lotus nodded in satisfaction. Then he waved his hand, and the white peacock directly knelt in front of him. Junior Sister Shui, come up. Thus, the two of them directly got on the peacock. The white peacock spread its wings and directly rushed down the White Mountain's 2nd level. Senior Sister Shui. White Mountain's 1st level, Qingfeng and Mingyue just happened to see them coming down. Senior Brother White Lotus. Hello, Junior Brothers. Wang Shui and White Lotus greeted at the same time. Where are you guys going? Qingfeng shouted at them and asked. To patrol the lower realm. Wang Yu said, drink wine and eat meat. Boy White Lotus was very direct. Whoosh! The white peacock spread its wings again and directly flew out of the White Mountain's gate with them, instantly disappearing. Sigh. Qing Feng and Mingyue couldn't help but look at each other. They saw envy, jealousy, and hatred in each other's eyes. Sigh. At the same time, Venerable White Lotus in the White Mountain's third-level abode looked at the direction where Wang Shui and Boy White Lotus disappeared and also sighed softly. If it's a blessing, it's not a curse. If it's a curse, it can't be avoided. If it's a curse, it can't be avoided. In the eyes of Venerable White Lotus, the chess game of heaven and earth was reflected. The moment Wang Shui and Boy White Lotus went down the mountain, the chess pieces on the chess game were slightly changing. Chapter 1106 Galaxy Village. Mo Lang killing Li Jiangfeng and Monkey Xiao did not cause much of a commotion in Galaxy Village. After all, the cultivators of Galaxy Village were well aware of Mo Lang's battle prowess. Hiding one's strength and biding one's time had always been the idea of Mo Lang. They had been accumulating strength, waiting for the day when Galaxy Village would recover. In a sense, Mo Lang's attack was a small show of his abilities. Father, back in the village, Wang Yu was the first to welcome him. Why didn't you bring Sumo's soul back? Shun Ming was also behind, looking at Mo Lang in confusion. Hee, do you have the ability to save Sumo? Mo Lang looked at Wang Yu and asked. Of course I can't. Wang Yu curled his lips, but don't we still have our ancestors? They might be able to. Black Sky and Star Ancestor have immortal bodies. They should have a way. Mo Lang shook his head. Sumo's return to the Windwheel was also our ancestors' idea. After all, the Windwheel faction values Sumo very much. They must have a way to save Sumo. That third senior martial brother, Hua Ke, is a first-rate divine doctor. In terms of the art of Qi Huang, there is no one who can compare to him in all the worlds. So, Sumo has the highest chance of resurrection in the Windwheel faction, Mo Lang said slowly. And there is one more important thing. What is it? Wang Yu asked. You should know that there can only be one Dharmarian king in a large world. Sumo must become Dharmarian king. Only he will become Dharmarian king in the Windwheel faction. So, he is the most suitable in the Windwheel village. That way, our Galaxy Village can have another Dharmarian king. Galaxy Village originates from Windwheel. If we have two Dharmarian kings, then we can definitely defeat Heartless. Father, are you going to break through to Dharmarian king? Wang Yu asked. Hee. Mo Lang smiled faintly and declined to comment. No matter who it is, our Star River Village will definitely have another Dharma Lotus King. Wang Yu nodded. Given her cultivation realm, she did not know which ancestral master in the Star River Village could become the Dermic Lotus Myriad Venerables. In her opinion, anyone could. Fallen Mortal Town will probably be peaceful for some time. Given the current situation, the Deity Tribulation Realm and Sumeru Realm cultivators probably won't dare to come and seek revenge. If one comes, I'll kill one. If two comes, I'll kill both. Devil Lang sneered. He had already started killing, so there was nothing to worry about. Unless it was Fa Lien Wang Zun, no one would be able to survive. The vast universe was endless, the starry skies boundless. Wang Shui and Child White Lotus rode the peacock and flew down from White Mountain. Before them was an endless sea of perfume. There were countless lotus flowers in the sea of perfume. Each lotus was a world of its own. The lotus that belonged to Yizong was withering bit by bit. In the depths of the sea of perfume, there was a small island. From the outside, it looked like a small island that was shrouded in mist and immortal light. Junior Sister Shui, is that island Fallen Mortal Town? White Lotus Boy asked. Yes, that's right. Wang Shui nodded. Perfume can exist in the form of an island in the sea. It's really not ordinary. White Lotus Boy said, that's the state between the realms and the true method, right? Yes. Wang Shui nodded again. Fallen Mortal Town was originally a bridge between the realms and White Mountain. If the realms cultivators wanted to ascend White Mountain, they would have to pass through Fallen Mortal Town. Senior Brother Boy, didn't you ascend White Mountain from Fallen Mortal Town? Me? When Child White Lotus Boy heard this, he said rather proudly, of course not. I was directly born on White Mountain. Master said that I was originally a white lotus on White Mountain, born from the essence of the vast universe. Is a white lotus very high level? What's so great about it? Wang Shui curled her lips and muttered in her heart, but she said out loud, Senior brother boy, you're indeed extraordinary. That's right, Child White Lotus Boy said with satisfaction. However, Junior Sister Shui, although you were chosen from fallen mortal town to ascend White Mountain, Master said that your talent is rare in the realms. Although you're not the Supreme Law Lotus King yet, it's definitely just around the corner. Your achievements will definitely be above many senior brothers and sisters. Really? Wang Shui said. Of course it's true, Child White Lotus Boy said. This is what Master said to me personally. And then, Wang Shui nodded excitedly. The two of them flattered each other along the way, and soon they arrived at the void above the island. Perfume Sea was the true Law Realm's immortal sea. Therefore, at this moment, they were in the true Law Realm. The realm's cultivators couldn't see them. After all, they could only faintly see the silhouette of White Mountain in fallen mortal town. Senior brother boy, you have to suppress your realm, Wang Shui said. Otherwise, fallen mortal town that has already started to expand might not be able to withstand the pressure of your realm. All right, Child White Lotus Boy nodded, but, Junior Sister Shui, what realm is suitable for me to suppress it to? Lotus Master, 9th level, Wang Shui said. Isn't that too low? Child White Lotus Boy was a little unwilling. Not low, Wang Shui said. The highest realm of the cultivators in Luo Fan Town is Lotus Knight level 9, including those few enforcers. We can't be too high profile when we go. I'll also suppress my realm to the 9th layer of the Lotus Realm. Then, when are we going to kill Law Kings? White Lotus Boy asked again. No hurry, Wang Shui said. Senior brother Tongzi, it's not easy for you to come to the lower bound. I naturally have to bring you to see the world, don't I? Let's go to Fallen Mortal Town to eat, drink, and be merry. Killing a guardian king is something that can only be chanced upon. It's not like we can go around the world looking for Law Kings to kill, right? When we reach Luo Fan Town, we'll pretend to be a pig to eat the tiger and wait for the rabbit. When the time comes, we'll see which Law King is blind enough to run into us. We'll just kill him. Wang Shui gritted her teeth and said fiercely. Yes, all right. Boy White Lotus puffed up his cheeks and nodded heavily. Drinking, eating meat, and killing Law Kings, these were all his hobbies. However, Junior Sister Shui, how long can we go to the lower bound? Boy White Lotus asked. Didn't Master say it? Wang Shui looked at Boy White Lotus in surprise. Did Master say it? Boy White Lotus was a little confused. He said it. Wang Shui said, Didn't you hear what Master said about 3,000 years? Boy White Lotus scratched his head and blushed. Junior Sister Shui, you know, when Master meditates, I'll doze off behind him when I have nothing to do. I vaguely seem to have heard 3,000 years, but I think he said something about sealing the board after playing chess. He didn't say that we can go to the lower bound for 3,000 years, right? Senior brother Tongzi was not stupid. Wang Shui laughed secretly and said, Senior brother Tongzi, you didn't hear wrong. Master did say that the board would be sealed for 3,000 years, so we could go to the lower bound for 3,000 years too. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. If anything happens, you can say that it's all my idea. Master loves me and will scold me at most. Once I cry, everything will be resolved. Ha! Boy White Lotus was completely happy. That's right. Junior Sister Shui. Then let's go to Fallen Mortal Town. Boy White Lotus's cultivation was profound, but in terms of scheming, even 10 of him would not be Wang Shui's opponent. Moreover, Master said that after going down the mountain, he would listen to Junior Sister Shui. As he spoke, Boy White Lotus's body moved slightly. When she looked again, the white light on his body instantly converged. He directly dropped from the Dharma Lotus King realm to the 9th level of Lotus Master. Wang Shui was happy when she saw this. She also suppressed her own realm to the 9th level of Lotus Master. With the two of them guarding Fallen Mortal Town, who would dare to come? Hee. Wang Shui sneered in her heart. Black Lotus, if you dare to return to Fallen Mortal Town, then I'll kill you directly. Back then, Galaxy was destroyed in your hands. I'll kill you to avenge Galaxy and avenge my parents. Chapter 1108. Fallen Mortal Town continued to expand. Starry skies and even small worlds were forming between the villages. Although the time here was slowing down, it was still much faster than the time in the other worlds. Therefore, a day and night in the mortal world was at least a few dozen years in the various worlds. Many creatures were born in the newborn starry sky. However, there were no cultivators growing lotuses in Fallen Mortal Town. Descending to the mortal realm expanded, hidden purification. At this time, Wang Shui and Child White Lotus had already appeared in the starry sky outside of the land of the fallen mortal. This space only appeared after Fallen Mortal Town expanded. In the distance, they could see the land of the fallen mortal. Turning around, with the realm of Wang Shui and Child White Lotus, they could even see the Yizong world that was heading towards destruction. However, this destruction required time. In fact, many cultivators below the rebirth stage in the depths of the hidden world did not even know that the world they were in was being destroyed. They did not even feel the changes. This was the sorrow of the lower life forms. The Glaze realm was the first medium realm to be purified in the Yizong realm. At this time, in the eyes of Wang Shui and Child Lotus, 1/3 of the entire star territory of the glazed world had been completely fragmented. All the living beings inside had turned into a special power. White Lotus Boy didn't feel anything. Wang Shui frowned. Junior Sister Shui, that's the hidden world you often mentioned, right? Child White Lotus asked. That Lotus realm seems to have been purified by his Dharma King. He's starting to harvest. Wang Shui nodded her head sullenly. Junior Apprentice Sister Shui, if you don't want it to be purified, don't worry. I can stop it. White Lotus Boy looked at Wang Shui and seemed unhappy. I can completely protect the remaining star regions. Hee hee. Wang Shui shook her head and smiled. Thank you, Senior Tongzi, but there was no need for that. The one who purified Yizong world was their own law emperor, and I am not a cultivator of Yizong world. He planted his own lotuses and harvested them himself. Why should we care about him? What's more, there are a lot of things that are naturally done by others. Yizong world has its own destiny. However, its path of purification will definitely not be smooth. Wang Shui smiled coldly. Let's wait and see. Oh, White Lotus Boy nodded. Since Junior Sister Shui said that they didn't have to worry about it, he naturally didn't want to waste time on this kind of thing. Originally, for an existence like Child White Lotus, the destruction of a big world was as common as the death of a mortal. Therefore, he only sighed with emotion and did not feel too much. In fact, Child White Lotus didn't care about all living beings. Senior Tongzi, let's go to the land of fallen mortal. Wang Shui patted the white peacock's neck. The white peacock flapped its wings and charged into the land of the fallen mortal. The fallen mortal world naturally had a world barrier. However, the barrier between the worlds had no meaning for Wang Shui and White Lotus Boy. Everything existed in name only. Currently, there were only a few fallen mortal cultivators in the land of the fallen mortal. As the fallen mortal town continued to expand, the land of fallen mortal also started to change. In the future, this would no longer be the only entrance to the fallen mortal world. This was because the entrance would change according to the changes in the mortal world. In the land of the fallen mortal, there naturally wouldn't be 100 Sun Town. Even though they were Lotus warriors, there was really no need for them to travel across a great world to purchase daily necessities. After 100 days, it might become 100 years. This land of the fallen mortal was destined to evolve into a special star realm. Miss Shui. As soon as Wang Shui and Child White Lotus landed, someone shouted for Wang Shui. Wang Shui turned her head and saw a shop assistant dressed in plain clothes. Lan Tong, the shop assistant from East Finstown, had always been in the land of the fallen mortal. This was because he was Boss Qian's long-term spy in the land of the fallen mortal. The appearance of Wang Shui and Child White Lotus naturally couldn't escape his eyes. He knew Wang Shui. This was because Wang Shui was the most active person in Galaxy Village back then. The other people in Galaxy Village rarely went out, but Wang Shui went out every day. When she was in Fallen Mortal Town, there was no one who didn't know her. Wang Shui was a famous person in Fallen Mortal Town. In the past, she alone could cause chaos in the entire Fallen Mortal Town. However, no one could do anything to her. This was because Wang Shui's talent was extremely high. She could learn almost all spells in one go. She also had a photographic memory and was extremely intelligent. At the same time, she was clever and cute. Many cultivators were obviously annoyed by her, but they couldn't bear to get angry at her. In fact, who could cultivate in Fallen Mortal Town was a common person, including Lan Tong, Muse Hua, Little Shirtu. These children of the East Fence law enforcer, if they were placed in the lower realm, they would all be first-class Lotus warriors. However, the cultivators in Fallen Mortal Town were somewhat overshadowed by Wang Shui. Wang Shui was definitely a super existence. Later, Wang Shui suddenly stopped appearing. In the beginning, everyone was still a little uncomfortable. Gradually, there were some rumors that Wang Shui was chosen to go to White Mountain. However, those were only rumors. No one knew the specific situation. Even the few White Mountain law enforcers didn't know where Wang Shui went. Wang Shui also never came back. Her whereabouts had always been a mystery. Lan Tong didn't expect that he would actually see Wang Shui today and couldn't help but exclaim, "Hi." Wang Shui got off the white peacock and walked closer. She greeted Lan Tong with a face full of smiles. "Lan Tong, long time no see." Miss Shui, long time no see." When Lan Tong saw Wang Shui approaching, he knew that the good days in Fallen Mortal Town were over, not to mention that there was a guy who didn't seem to be easy to deal with. However, it was too late for him to leave. "The shop's business is good, right?" Wang Shui's gaze fell on Lan Tong's booth. Boss Qian was looking at grocery stores, so it could be said that there were all kinds of things. "Thanks to Miss Shui, the business is good." Lan Tong forced a smile. His eyes followed Wang Shui's gaze. At the same time, he moved his mind and kept a few of the most expensive things when Wang Shui wasn't paying attention. "Yo!" Wang Shui saw two rather exquisite wooden boxes on the booth and couldn't help but take them in her hands. "These two boxes look good." The flesh on Lan Tong's face couldn't help but twitch. "These two jade hairpins are very beautiful." Wang Shui opened the box directly. There were indeed two jade hairpins in the box that looked quite good. "Lan Tong, do you think my aunt and aunt will be more beautiful if they wear these two hairpins?" "Yes, they definitely will." Lan Tong smiled embarrassedly. "Miss Shui, these two hairpins were personally made by Windmill Master Liu. The quality is quite good." "Windmill Master Liu, Tianzhan?" Wang Shui said. "That's right." Lan Tong said. "Why would a blacksmith master make jade hairpins?" Wang Shui frowned and then looked at Lan Tong. "Lan Tong, do you mean that these two hairpins are very expensive?" "These two hairpins are indeed very expensive." But Lan Tong saw that Wang Shui didn't look good and immediately added, "But if Miss Shui likes it, our boss will give you a 30% discount." 30% discount. Wang Shui was a little dissatisfied. Therefore, she wanted to look at other things in the booth. "It's not a discount. It's not a discount." Lan Tong hurriedly said, "If Miss Shui likes it, then I will give it to you." "That's so embarrassing." Wang Shui's face blushed just right. "It's okay." Lan Tong's sweat was almost dripping down. "Miss Shui hasn't been back for a long time. Take these two hairpins as a gift from our store when you return." Wang Shui finally nodded. "Lan Tong, if you say so, then it would be impolite of me to refuse. Later, I will go to Dongli to thank Boss Qian. Tell me how you're doing." "No problem." Lan Tong's face was full of smiles. "Junior Sister Shui, I think this bag of fairy fruits is not bad. I haven't eaten it before." White Lotus Boy said. "Oh." Wang Shui glanced at the red fairy fruits. "Senior Brother Boy, if you like it, we could just take it. These fruits are probably not worth much." "Okay." White Lotus Boy wasn't polite at all. He rolled up his sleeves and put away half a bag of red fruits. Lan Tong's face was stiff, because the bag of fruits was more valuable than the two jade hairpins. "Senior Brother Boy, let's walk around. This town is very lively." Wang Shui put away the jade hairpins, cupped her hands at Lan Tong, and then turned around. However, in an instant, her face couldn't help but sink. That was because there was no one else in town except for them. When she turned around again, Lan Tong also packed up and left. Chapter 1109. Wang Shui looked at the empty land of fallen mortals and curled her lips. Junior Sister Shui, they seem to be a little afraid of you. White Lotus Boy looked around while eating the red fruit. Just now, all the people who were doing business here ran away. AI. Wang Shui shook her head helplessly. It's gone. My feelings are gone. It's all my fault that I didn't come back for a long time. Senior Brother Boy, you don't know how much they like me. Everyone loves her when they see her, and flowers bloom when they see her. Junior Sister Shui, you are very cute now. White Lotus Boy stuffed his mouth with fruits and said heartlessly, this fruit tastes really good. And then, Wang Shui's eyes turned into crescent moons. Senior Brother Boy, I love listening to your words. Don't worry about this fruit. If there are no more, we will go to East Fence Village. The people from East Fence Village are the most generous. Okay. So, the two of them went in the direction of Galaxy Village happily. The news of Wang Shui's return quickly spread to every village in Luofan town. Windrunner Wang Shui is back. Yes, I heard that she came back this morning. Someone in the land of fallen mortals saw it. I heard that too. He even brought a little boy back with him and robbed Boss Qian's stall. How many things did she rob? I don't know. Anyway, once she appeared, many stall owners closed their stalls. AI. Luofan Town is really not peaceful now. Luofan Town is no longer the original Luofan Town, but Miss Shui is still the original Miss Shui. Every village was talking about it. However, there is a sense of joy in this kind of discussion. The two old ancestors of Broken Sleeves Village had a different view from everyone. Little Shui, she didn't come back earlier or later. Now that she is back, she most likely has a purpose. Gu Xing smiled. That crazy girl is weird. Lung Yu sneered. It seems that the people on White Mountain are not at ease with those law enforcement officers. So, little Shui will be more stable in Luofan Town. But that little Shui is from Galaxy Village after all, Gu Xing said. Isn't there still White Lotus Boy? Lung Yu said, that White Lotus kid is not an ordinary person. When he unleashes his might, most law emperors will be torn to shreds. Gu Xing rubbed his forehead. That's right. Back then, I saw him tear apart a peak Lotus warrior with my own eyes. At that time, it was only at the 9th layer of the Lotus realm. Violent little boy. Lung Yu couldn't help but smile. However, he's also a greedy fellow with no good intentions. It's good enough that Shui last didn't sell him out. Lone Star chuckled, but did not say anything. Windmill Village. The news of Wang Shui's return did not cause much fluctuation in the Windmill Village. This was because when Wang Shui was at her most rampant in Luofan Town, the Windwheel various masters weren't there. Right now, they didn't care about anything else, because what they needed to do now was to revive Sumo. Bai Lai and eldest senior brother had not returned yet. However, they had already sent back news that the matter with the Plum Blossom Sprites had been resolved. They were now going to the Galaxy Village. At this moment, Bai Yifeng had already sent the Windwheel Bell into the dilapidated Windwheel Palace. Because, although the Windwheel Palace looked dilapidated, it was actually the lifeline of the entire Windwheel Village. However, on normal days, without Bai Lai's permission, none of them could enter the Windwheel Palace. However, the Windwheel Bell could. This was because it was originally the bell that was hung in the main hall of the Windwheel Palace. Ding-dang? Ding-ding-dang-dang. Inside the Windwheel Palace, the sound of a bell rang. The faint purple light caused the entire Windwheel Palace to glow with a kind of vitality again. At that moment, the Windwheel Palace that had been silent for many years finally had a trace of vitality. Little junior brother is indeed fated with my Windwheel Palace. Bai Yifeng looked at the purple light emitted from the Windwheel Palace and could not help but smile. The other senior brothers also felt the same. Scholar Du said, Third junior brother, go back and refine the pills you need. The few of us will take turns to guard this place. Nothing will happen. Yes. Third senior brother Hua, Kay nodded and directly returned to his stone house. From today onwards, seventh sister and I will be in a group, fourth brother and fifth brother will be in another group, and sixth brother and eighth brother will be in another group. We will take turns every 3 days to ensure that the Windwheel Palace is safe. Scholar Du looked at the other junior brothers. I want to be here every day, Bai Yifeng said, because I am the most proficient in controlling the Windwheel Bell. If anything unexpected happens, I will be the best to deal with it. All right, Scholar Du nodded. He did not say anything else. In fact, everyone understood that everyone's thoughts were on Sumo. Whether they were here or not, they would definitely pay attention to the Windwheel Palace. In the starry sky, Bai Lai and eldest senior brother Windwheel headed straight in the direction of the Galaxy Village. Old Bai, have you been to Galaxy Village? Eldest senior brother asked. No. Bai Lai shook his head. Because the Galaxy Village is too young. The last time I returned to Luo Fan Town, there was no Galaxy Village. Oh? Hee hee. Eldest senior brother could not help but laugh. Then can we get the Phoenix blood from the Galaxy Village? Absolutely no problem. Bai Lai laughed. Why are you so confident? Eldest senior brother asked. The Galaxy Village originates from the Windwheel Palace. Devil Lang lets second brother and Little Bai bring back Sumo's godly soul, which means that he understands the relationship between us. Otherwise, do you think that with the strength he displayed that day, second brother and Little Bai can bring back Sumo's godly soul? So, it won't be a problem for us to get 2 drops of Phoenix blood to save the Plum Blossom Sprite, Bai Lai said. Yes. Eldest senior brother nodded his head. The two of them chatted as they walked. The Galaxy Village was gradually approaching. However, eldest senior brother suddenly frowned slightly, because just in front of them on the left, 2 figures suddenly appeared. It was a girl in purple, and she was accompanied by a boy in white who looked 7 or 8 years old. At the same time that eldest senior brother saw them, Wang Shui also saw Bai Lai and eldest senior brother. Coincidentally, they met at the stone tablet of the Galaxy Village. Bai Lai and eldest senior brother did not know Wang Shui and Little White Lotus at all. However, they were sure that they were not cultivators from Fallen Mortal Town. 2 stage 9 Lotus warriors. So, Bai Lai and eldest senior brother could not help but look at each other. Then they both frowned. At this time, they were very sensitive to cultivators from outside. Please. Eldest senior brother cupped his fists at Wang Shui and Little White Lotus. May I ask where you two are from? From where? Wang Shui could observe the various realms from White Mountain. So she actually knew Bai Lai and eldest senior brother Finluan, but she did not expose them. We are from the outside world. From the outside world, eldest senior brother raised his eyebrows. How can cultivators from the outside world casually approach the Galaxy Village? Why? Wang Shui said arrogantly. This village is not allowed to enter. The Galaxy Village is the forbidden area of Fallen Mortal Town. Ordinary Lotus warriors are definitely not allowed to enter. Eldest senior brother said, if you're a cultivator from the outside world, it is better to stay away from here. Old farmer, are you doing this out of kindness? Wang Shui asked with a smile. Of course I'm doing this out of kindness. Eldest senior brother said, you are not allowed to enter Fallen Mortal Star River. If you have bad intentions, it is best that you leave quickly. Otherwise, if you alarm the people of Star River, I am afraid you will not be able to leave. At the same time, eldest senior brother shouted towards the Galaxy Village. Finluan He Nong requests an audience with fellow Taoist Mo Lang. Outside the Galaxy Village, there were all forbidden maps. Even a stage 9 Lotus warrior would be crushed to pieces if he trespassed. In the entire Fallen Mortal Town, only Jia Shusheng and Bai Yifeng could force their way into the Galaxy Village. However, they would not force their way in. Eldest senior brother shouted. First, he and Bai Lai would definitely not dare to trespass, and second, he was warning Wang Shui and Little White Lotus. This, Wang Shui shook her head, then stuck out her tongue at He Nong and laughed. Uncle, take your time calling people. We will go in first. See you later. With that, Wang Shui pulled Little White Lotus and directly crossed the boundary stone. Looking again, the Galaxy Forbidden map was like a tumbling river, automatically dispersing. Wherever Wang Shui went, it was flat ground. At that moment, He Nong and Bai Lai were dumbfounded. Chapter 11:10. Were they from the Galaxy Village? Bai Lai and the eldest senior brother looked at each other. That was the only explanation. Unfortunately, none of them knew Wang Shui and Child White Lotus. Although Bai Lai was from the same generation as Lung Yu and Gu Xing, he had never seen Child White Lotus. After all, he was just a child of the Windwheel Palace. Bai Lai had never even seen the white-robed Great Lotus Venerable before. Therefore, he was as confused as the eldest senior brother of the Windwheel Palace. Fortunately, after a while, the fog in the Galaxy Village dispersed, and two female cultivators in red walked out. They looked exactly the same. They were Wang Yu and Shenming. "Greetings, seniors. My father invites you in." Wang Yu and Shenming bowed to Bai Lai and He Nong. "Thank you, ladies." So Bai Lai and He Nong followed Wang Yu and her sister into the Galaxy Village. This was their first time in the Galaxy Village. The Galaxy Village was huge, and the houses were scattered. The distance between each house was relatively far. This was a bit like the layout of East Fence Village. Each house was a few miles away from each other, and it looked like a village. Mo Lang's family was the first family in the Galaxy Village. The courtyard had green bricks and gray tiles, a black door, and a golden door knocker. The plaque on the door had the words, "Magical Illusion House," written in gold. It was quite imposing. From the looks of it, this was the residence of a wealthy family. It was much bigger than the stone houses in the Windwheel Village. "Seniors, please." Wang Yu and Shun Ming extended their hands to invite them in. At this time, Mo Lang and Huan Hua had already come out to welcome them. "Distinguished guests, please forgive us for not going out to welcome you." Mo Lang and Huan Hua cupped their hands at Bai Lai and the eldest senior brother. "Sorry for disturbing you." He Nong and Bai Lai cupped their hands in return. "Please, please." Everyone greeted each other politely and entered the magical house together. There were a total of 3 courtyards in the entire magical house. In the courtyard, there were pavilions, rockery, and green water. In the middle of the courtyard, there was a large hall. Looking around, there were several long tables on both sides of the hall, on top of which were some spirit dishes. What surprised Bai Lai and He Nong the most was the purple-clothed girl and the white-clothed boy sitting behind table. "Greetings, uncles. I said that I would see you in a while, and you guys really came in." Wang Shui smiled at Bai Lai and He Nong. As for the White Lotus boy, he was eating and only nodded in a hurry. "Hey!" When Bai Lai saw this, he could not help but exclaim, "Little girl, you actually became a guest of the fantasy mansion in the Galaxy Village." "Uncle." Wang Shui shook her head and said, "I'm not a guest here. This has always been my home." "Oh." Bai Lai and He Nong were both stunned. "He," Mo Lang said from the side. "Let me introduce you. Shui. These two are fellow Taoists from the Windwheel sect." "I know." Wang Shui had already stood up and bowed to Bai Lai and He Nong. "Wang Shui greets Uncle Bai and Uncle He." "Huh?" Bai Lai and He Nong were a little dazed. Wang Shui calling them uncle was very comfortable, but it also felt a little awkward. "Fellow Taoists." Mo Lang smiled and said, "This is my grandson. Her nickname is Shui." Mo Lang's granddaughter. At this time, they understood why they felt awkward. Because they were subconsciously called a generation lower than Wang Shui. However, everyone was a grand cultivator, and most of the time, they would talk about their realm. Wang Shui calling them uncle was already considered a form of respect. Shui or Wang Shui. Bai Lai and He Nong vaguely remembered the legend of Luo Fan Town. So, this was the legendary lass, Shui, whom everyone loved and feared at the same time. "I heard that Miss Shui went to White Mountain. Did she just come back?" Eldest senior brother asked. Mo Lang laughed and said, "What White Mountain? Is White Mountain a place that can be casually visited?" Previously, she only went to the various realms to travel. Now that she's almost done with her training, she just came back. "Oh, hee." Bai Lai and He Nong didn't say anything more. There were many things that were better left unasked. "Two uncles, please take a seat." Wang Shui said sweetly, "This is a boy senior brother that I met outside." He's not very willing to talk. Two uncles, please don't take it to heart. Boy White Lotus was indeed not willing to talk, because there were many delicacies on the table. If he had the time to talk, he might as well eat more. Moreover, these two 9-stage Lotus warriors weren't junior sister Shue's closest relatives, so he really didn't want to bother with them. Bai Lai and Hei Nong were both grand cultivators. This time, they were here to ask Mo Lang for help, so they naturally wouldn't care about these small matters. Fellow Taoists, do you have anything for me? Everyone sat down, and Mo Lang asked directly. Eldest senior brother nodded and said, I won't hide it from fellow Taoist Mo Lang. My little junior brother's soul has already returned to Windwheel, and we also have the ability to revive him. But we still need some time. It's a good thing, Mo Lang said. But eldest senior brother's tone slightly paused. But what? But our Windwheel lineage can only save one person even if we do our best. So we, the Windwheel lineage, have no way to save that plum blossom sprite. Eldest senior brother said. Then, please send that Wu Air's soul back. Our galaxy will think of a way, Mo Lang said. Hei Nong shook his head and said with a smile. That day, fellow Taoist Mo Lang gave both souls to Windwheel. How can we send them back? Although Windwheel can't save the plum blossom sprite, we have already begged the two elders of Cut Sleeves Village to help. The two elders of Cut Sleeves Village. Mo Lang couldn't help but be slightly stunned. Everyone in the Wong family was stunned. Boy White Lotus's eating speed also couldn't help but slow down, because everyone knew that the two elders of Cut Sleeves Village were very difficult to talk to. Did the two elders agree? Wang Shui interrupted. Yes. Hei No nodded. The Windwheel lineage still has a lot of face. Mo Lang smiled and said, in the entire fallen mortal town, the only ones who can invite those two old ancestors is probably your Windwheel lineage. Yes. Hei No nodded. He naturally wouldn't mention the details of him and Bai Lai kneeling together. The two elders agreed to save the plum blossom sprite, but they need one thing. So, this time, we came with a request. I don't know if fellow Taoist Mo Lang is willing to give it to us. What is it? Mo Lang said. As long as our galaxy village has it, we will definitely give it to you. 2 drops of phoenix blood, Hei Nong said. Oh, hee. Mo Lang couldn't help but smile. I was wondering what it was. So it's just 2 drops of phoenix blood. This is definitely not a problem. You are, Mo Lang shouted for Wang Yu. Daughter is here. Wang Yu said. Go to Phoenix Dock now and explain the reason. Ask the 2 elders of Mysterious Sky Sect and Star Sect to give you 2 drops of phoenix blood. Mo Lang said. Okay. Wang Yu nodded, then turned and left Illusory Fiend Mansion. Fellow Taoists, please wait a moment. Mo Lang said. Today my Illusory Fiend Mansion rarely has guests from 2 sides. I have prepared some spirit food and wine here. Why don't we drink to our heart's content? How about it? Okay. Bai Lai and Little Child White Lotus actually responded together. Okay. Wang Shui shouted together. I'll let you all have a taste of my aunt's cooking. Shunming clenched his fist and nodded heavily at the side. It was time for me to show my true strength. Inside Illusory Fiend Mansion, it was peaceful. After all, since the beginning of the heavenly change, everything had been peaceful. There was danger, but it hadn't completely arrived yet. However, in the calm, there could always be storms. In Divine Void Village and Shumi Village, it was a different scene. After all, people had died in both of them. It could be said that it was cold and desolate, miserable and miserable. Li Jiangxue sat cross-legged in front of the ancient house. In the huge Divine Void Village, she was the only one. In front of her was a copper plate. The paper money inside had been completely burned to ashes. Lotus scholars did not reincarnate, so they naturally could not receive paper money. Therefore, the people of the various realms burned paper money to comfort themselves. Li Jiangxue's face was full of tears. At the same time, her eyes were full of hatred and murderous intent. She naturally wanted to avenge her grandfather. Looking again, she bit her middle finger and used the blood to draw a talisman on the ground in front of her. Whoosh! A faint blue light with a hint of blood could be seen. On the ground, a strange talisman formation appeared. Li Jiangshue's body shook violently, her gaze like a ghost. At that moment, she seemed to be possessed by something. Chapter 11:11. Within Divine Void Village, dark blue sanguine light shone. Li Jiangxue sat cross-legged in front of the old house, her eyes empty and vacant. At the same time, blackish-purple blood flowed out of her eye sockets. Inside the copper plate, dust was flying everywhere, and a chilly wind was blowing. The talisman formation that she had set up earlier was glowing brightly. Strange rays of light shot out from the formation. They wrapped around Li Jiangshue's body. Li Jiangshue's clothes were covered in a dark blue bloody light. At that moment, Li Jiangxue was like a demon. Chi-chi, chi-chi. In the end, those rays of light poured into Li Jiangshue's body like snakes. Li Jiangxue chanted an ancient incantation mechanically. Then, she slowly closed her eyes. An hour later, she slowly opened her eyes. However, the look in her eyes was completely different from before. Her gaze was empty and cold. There were a few streaks of blood on her cheeks. At that moment, the girl who was once a commoner seemed to have lost her soul. Then, with a wave of her hand, the copper plate and the formation array in front of the ancient house disappeared without a trace. Demon boy, blood debt must be tasted in blood. Li Jiangshue's voice was cold, sinister, and neither male nor female. Then, she took a step forward and left the village. A cold wind blew in Divine Void Village. At the same time, Monkey Moo of Sumeru Village was sitting in front of the minor Sumeru temple. His expression was calm. After Monk Ishio died, he never left the village, because he understood that with the strength that Mo Lang had revealed, going out to take revenge would be equivalent to giving his life away. Therefore, the safest place for him was the village. His master, Love Monk, had not sent him any messages. Monkey Moo decided not to leave the village for the time being. His eyes were slightly closed as he chanted scriptures, looking just like an eminent monk. The Buddha's understanding of life and death far surpassed that of others. However, at this moment, a gust of cold wind suddenly blew in front of minor Sumeru Temple. The gust of cold wind was very special. This was because, as a Lotus Knight 9th tier expert, everything in Sumeru Village was under Monk Imu's control. If he wants wind, there will be wind. If he says there will be no wind, there will be no wind. The wind just now was definitely not summoned by Monk Imu. Who is it? Monk Imu stood up. His eyes were like lightning as he looked around. However, he didn't find anything. Monk Imu could not help but raise his eyebrows. Actually, he also believed that in Luo Fan Town, even an existence like Mo Lang would not barge into Sumeru Village. To some extent, entering the village to kill people was tantamount to starting an all-out war. But what was with the wind just now? Just as he was hesitating, a thin blade of grass appeared in front of him. The blade of grass was very special. It was 3 feet long, but only as wide as a finger. Thin and long. It was not green, but black. Ink soul grass. Monk Imu's expression changed slightly. This was because his master, Love Monk, had once told him that the ink soul grass was a type of grass that grew in Emoshan Village. Within the infinite worlds, only Luo Fan Town's Emoshan Village had this grass. According to the legends, the cultivators of Ink Mountain Village could use the ink soul grass to display many strange abilities, and one of them was the soul sound transmission. It could pass through many special barriers to transmit messages. While Monk Imu was still in a daze, the ink soul grass had already combusted. The black flame was like a dark elf in the dark night, swaying and jumping. Sizzle. The flame dissipated, and a few large words appeared in the void. In front of Mo Shan Village, half Buddha's light. 8 big words flashed and disappeared in a flash. However, Imu's expression changed, because half Buddha's light was a secret that Love Monk had told him. Anyone who mentioned half Buddha's light, to him, was someone he could trust. There are still people on our side in Luo Fan Town. Imu's heart instantly lit up. These words were definitely not sent by the little girl from Divine Void Village, because he expected that she did not have that kind of ability. In front of Mo Shan Village? She was asking him to go to Mo Shan Village. Could it be that Black Lotus King had returned? Or was there something going on in Mo Shan Village? Imu's mind was in chaos. Although he was uncertain, he still decided to go and take a look. Things might have changed. Thus, Imu's figure moved, and he directly left Meru Village, daring to rush in the direction of Mo Shan Village. The distance between Phoenix Dock and Illusionary Fiend Mansion was only a dozen miles. Wang Yuan asked for Phoenix blood on Demon Lang's orders. Of course, everything went smoothly. Xian Tian and Xing Chun did not hesitate and directly gave Wang Yu 4 drops of Phoenix blood. Xian Tian and Xing Chun each had 2 drops. Now, they were already great cultivators at the 9th level of the Lotus Realm. They lived in seclusion in Galaxy Village in order to revive the galaxy. Therefore, this Phoenix blood was to save Wu-Er, so they naturally would not be stingy. Wang Yu thanked the 2 patriarchs and directly returned to Illusionary Fiend Mansion. In fact, if Wang Yu used immortal techniques to travel a dozen miles, he could actually reach it in 1 step. However, in Luo Fan Town, people rarely used immortal techniques. In this place, they treated themselves as mortals and rarely used their immortal techniques. Therefore, Wang Yu walked slowly, leisurely. Wang Shui was back. This little girl had an excellent relationship with him and Shenming. Wang Yu had already decided to get drunk with Wang Shui and White Lotus Boy tonight. Most importantly, she had secretly asked Wang Shui. AMU was fine. This was the thing that made Wang Yu the happiest. Therefore, Wang Shui was in an extremely good mood along the way. She even softly hummed a song. She felt that everything would be bright and beautiful. After the sky changed, perhaps it would be another beautiful world. Perhaps she would be able to see her brother very soon. Wang Yu walked for a dozen miles at a moderate pace. However, as she walked, Wang Yu suddenly stopped in her tracks. Because she was only concerned with walking just now and seemed to be going in the wrong direction. Wang Yu instantly stopped in her tracks, because she immediately realized there was actually only one way to go from Phoenix Dock to Illusionary Fiend Mansion. She could not have gone in the wrong direction. What was going on? Wang Yu's expression changed, and at the same time, her eyes suddenly lit up. When he looked at her, his eyes immediately emitted 5-color divine light. Whoosh! A different world was directly reflected in Wang Yu's eyes. She had actually walked out of the Galaxy Village and was now in the middle of a vast galaxy. Wang Yu's expression suddenly changed. She had been hit by someone's technique. Damn! Black grass. Countless black, thin, and long grass. They were rootless, floating leisurely and swaying in the wind. Wang Yu had never seen that kind of grass before. However, Wang Yu saw that there seemed to be a dead soul on each black grass. Some of them were already unrecognizable. Some were crying with their heads down, and some were baring their fangs and claws. Soul array? Wang Yu's expression changed. How could there be a soul array in Galaxy Village? Could it be that she had walked out of Galaxy Village by herself? But why would she walk out of Galaxy Village by herself? Otherwise, who could set up a soul array in Galaxy Village? A series of questions. Wang Yu could not answer at all. Wang Yu did not think much. She directly formed a seal with her hands and opened her mouth. Whoosh! Wang Yu directly spewed out a purple flame from her mouth. Whoosh! Once the purple flame appeared, it filled the sky and covered all the black grass. However, the black grass was not incinerated. Instead, it suddenly grew crazily. Wang Yu's purple flame had endlessly nourished them. Lotus Realm grass. Wang Yu instantly understood. The black grass was already attached to the lotus energy, and she was only at the peak of Rebirth Realm. Perhaps Wang Yu could still put up a fight against a Stage 1 Venerable Realm expert. However, against a Lotus Realm expert, she had no way of fighting back. Whoosh! The black grass, like endless hair, curled towards Wang Yu. At this moment, Wang Yu was completely restrained. Blood for blood. An androgynous voice reached Wang Yu's ears. Chapter 11:12. Blood for blood. Wang Yu was completely entangled by the ink soul grass. She was like a mortal trapped in a swamp. The more she struggled, the deeper she sank. The black grass grew wildly, forming a sea in an instant. At this moment, Wang Yu was completely trapped and drowned by the black grass. Only her head was sticking out of the water. Kikik! Ha-ha! The voice from before rang out again. At the same time, a female cultivator walked out of the galaxy. She was none other than Li Jiangxue. However, the current Li Jiangxue was completely different from the previous Li Jiangxue. She was still dressed in plain clothes, but her clothes were covered in layers of bloody light. Her gaze was filled with coldness and evil. She seemed to have walked out of hell. Who are you? Wang Yu did not know Li Jiangxue at all. Li Jiangxue looked at Wang Yu and laughed coldly. Her voice had always been strange, because there seemed to be two souls in her body. I am Li Jiangxue. I come from Divine Void Village. Li Jiangxue approached Wang Yu and bent down. Her hand lightly brushed past Wang Yu's face. Wang Yu did not frown. When he looked again, 3 bloody grooves appeared on Wang Yu's face. Li Jiangxue's fingernails were actually more than an inch long, and they were covered in Wang Yu's blood. Mo Lang killed my grandfather, so I killed his daughter. Kikik! Huh? Li Jiangxue laughed maniacally. Also, I want to torture you to death. I want to torture you to death. What's the point of killing a rebirth realm cultivator like me? Wang Yu's face was covered in blood, but he laughed coldly. If you have the ability, kill your way into Galaxy Village. No rush. Li Jiangxue laughed sinisterly. I will steal you out one by one and kill you slowly. That will be fun. How did you let me out of Galaxy Village? Wang Yu really wanted to know the reason. Li Jiangxue changed to a male voice. In the infinite worlds, there is no array that the ink soul grass cannot break. The black soul grass is enough to confuse a rebirth realm expert. Right now, you're in an ownerless starry sky. The Galaxy Village was a few small worlds away. Haha, I'll kill you. I heard that you have a sister who looks exactly like you. I will kill all of you. Avenge my grandfather. Sob sob. Li Jiangxue switched to a female voice again, and there was a hint of sobbing in her voice. In your dreams. Wang Yu glared at Li Jiangxue. Suddenly, her eyes turned crimson. Ghost eye. Wang Yu was talented. She had a pair of ghost eyes. At this time, although Li Jiangxue used the advantage of her realm to suppress her cultivation level, she could not completely control her ghost eye. 2 beams of red light headed straight for Li Jiangxue. That was the last out technique Wang Yu could use. At this time, Li Jiangxue and Wang Yu were extremely close. She didn't seem to expect Wang Yu to use his eye technique at all. Li Jiangxue shook her head violently. However, she was still a little too slow. Uffed. The side of Li Jiangxue's face was pierced by Wang Yu's beam of red light. In an instant, her face was covered in blood. However, this attack from the rebirth state could not affect Li Jiangxue at all. To her, it was only a flesh wound. Kikik. Li Jiangxue shook her head. She didn't care about the blood on her face. Instead, she stretched out her palm and gave Wang Yu a slap. However, this slap was a claw and a slap. Bang! Half of Wang Yu's face was a bloody mess. At the same time, Li Jiangxue dug out one of Wang Yu's eyes. A technique? I'll make it so that you can't use it anymore. Little girl, suffer. Beg me, and I'll let you go. Kikik. Li Jiangxue switched to a male voice. Her face was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Wang Yu only had one eye left, so she couldn't use her eye technique again. However, she still stared at Li Jiangxue, not even making a sound. So you're a possessed monster. Wang Yu sneered. Today, if you kill me, my father will not just flatten a divine void village, but the entire divine void world. Kikik. Unfortunately, your father won't know, because you won't have the chance to send a message. Li Jiangxue laughed wildly. At the same time, she raised a hand. Bang! A beam of red light suddenly exploded in the air. Wang Yu's remaining eye dimmed. Just now, the focus of the 2 red lights she had shot out was not to injure the enemy, but to send a message. Unexpectedly, Li Jiangxue had completely seen through her. A rebirth state Lotus Fighter was like hitting a rock with an egg. This was a battle without any suspense. Wang Yu didn't want to live. She only wanted the people of Galaxy Village to know who killed her. But now, it seemed that this was impossible. Kiki. Li Jiangxue threw her head back and laughed wildly. At this moment, she felt a sense of revenge. At the same time, her mind moved. Looking again, the ink soul grass that bound Wang Yu seemed to turn into black snakes. Then, they began to penetrate Wang Yu's body. One by one. At that moment, Wang Yu's face was pale, because that was truly a form of torture. It was more painful than death. At this time, Wang Yu had been tortured to the point that she didn't look like a human. Only half of her face was left, and her body was riddled with holes. But she was still alive, not dead, because Li Jiangxue had made every ink soul grass perfectly avoid Wang Yu's immortal heart. At this moment, it was impossible for Wang Yu to self-destruct, because she was completely controlled by Li Jiangxue. She couldn't live, and she couldn't die. Wang Yu wasn't afraid of death, because she was used to life and death. However, her only wish in this lifetime was to see Amu again. Apart from that, she had nothing else to ask for. "Brother, I'm going to die." Wang Yu closed her last eye and said in her heart. At that moment, Wang Yu was unwilling. Would she be reincarnated? Which realm would she be reincarnated to? Which life? Would she see Amu again? Ha. Li Jiangxue enjoyed the beauty of that moment. Before this, she never thought that torturing people could be so satisfying. Wang Yu was about to die. Her blood was scattered in the starry sky. At this time, she couldn't use immortal techniques, and she could only die. Galaxy Village, magical fantasy house. Needless to say, Shunming's cooking skills were excellent. There were many spaces for her to use in the magical fantasy house. There were all kinds of kitchen utensils. All kinds of ingredients were available. Mo Lang, Bai Lai, Hainon, White Lotus Boy, and the others were drinking. Wang Shui and Huan Hua were helping Shunming. The spiritual food was served, and White Lotus Boy was really eating heartily. He was a little regretful. He should have gone down the mountain with junior sister Shui earlier. There was music in the mortal world, so one shouldn't miss Bai Shan. Shunming was so busy that he couldn't be happier, because she liked the feeling of cooking very much. However, suddenly, Shunming's hand trembled. The long saber in her hand actually fell to the ground carelessly. "Ming-er, be careful." Huan Hua couldn't help but exhort. Ming-er had always been careless. That saber was a venerable divine weapon. What if she hurt herself? Mother, not good. Shunming clutched his chest, and his face instantly turned pale. "My sister is in trouble." After saying that, Shunming's body leaned forward and he actually fainted. Huan Hua's expression changed. Almost at the same time, a green figure dashed out from the other direction of the Galaxy Village. He also sensed Wang Yu's death aura. Chapter 11:13. Nameless Starry Sky. Li Jiangxue had already tortured Wang Yu to the point where he was on the verge of death. Gradually, Li Jiangxue also lost interest. This was because Wang Yu neither wailed nor begged for mercy. This caused Li Jiangxue's sense of accomplishment to drop to its lowest point. "I've played enough." Li Jiangxue bent over and grabbed Wang Shui's hair with one hand, then conjured a long sword in her other hand. She swung the sword. Puff! Li Jiangxue directly cut off Wang Yu's head. Blood shot up into the sky. Wang Yu's head was separated from his body. At the same time, the ink soul grass instantly devoured Wang Yu's body. Everything turned into black mist. Whoosh! Wang Yu's divine soul fiercely rushed into the starry sky. However, it was instantly frozen in the void by Li Jiangxue. Li Jiangxue snorted coldly. Then, she gently spat out a black sword light that went straight for Wang Yu's divine soul. Destroy! She wanted Wang Yu's Tao to be destroyed. This was the first step in her revenge for Li Jiangfeng. However, just as the black sword light was about to hit Wang Yu's divine soul, suddenly, another strange black light flew over from the starry sky. Boom! The two black lights collided, creating countless ripples before disappearing at the same time. Who is it? Li Jiangxue frowned. Previously, to be safe, she deliberately chose a starfield far away from Galaxy Village, Windwheel Village, and East Fence Village. Here, even if Galaxy Village received Wang Yu's distress signal, they would not be able to rush over very quickly. Everything was within Li Jiangshue's calculations. Otherwise, she would not have tortured Wang Yu without scruples. However, who would ruin her plans in this nameless, starry sky? Turning her head, she saw two figures appear in the void. A man and a woman, two cultivators. The male cultivator was dressed in clothes whiter than snow and had a jade-like appearance. He was a handsome man with peerless looks. His pair of eyes were as bright as stars. He had a head of black hair that reached his ankles. His sleeves fluttered and his hair fluttered. Boundless elegance, boundless confidence. Sumo. Li Jiangshue's expression suddenly changed. At that moment, she was even a little dazed. However, she immediately denied her previous thoughts. It wasn't Sumo, but the man in white looked very similar to Sumo. When he looked again, he saw a female cultivator standing next to him. His white robe hung to the ground, and his long hair reached his ankles. The possessed Li Jiangxue was slightly taken aback by the female cultivator's appearance. There's actually such a woman in the infinite worlds? As a matter of fact, now that they had reached the Lotus Realm, they had gained a whole new understanding of appearances. They were not obsessed with their looks. However, the appearance of this white-robed female cultivator in front of him was truly incomparable, charming all living beings. That was the ultimate combination of bewitching and elegant. That kind of beauty seemed to be the pinnacle of all worlds. It could be said that in terms of appearance, any female cultivator in the myriad worlds would have to bow down before her. All the beauties in the myriad worlds would wither before this woman. Two experts at the 9th level of the eternal realm. What a pair of immortal beauties. However, these two didn't seem to be from Fallen Mortal Town. By now, Li Jiangxue had already recognized most of the people in Fallen Mortal Town. Not to mention, they were at the 9th level of the Lotus Realm. Li Jiangxue couldn't help but laugh coldly. Where are you two from? How dare you ruin my plans? Hee hee. Looks like we've come at the right time. The white-robed female cultivator smiled, then gently waved her hand. Wang Yu's godly soul was directly taken into her bosom. With the soul, this cultivator wasn't completely dead. Who are you? There are actually two different souls in your body. The white-robed male cultivator looked at Li Jiangxue coldly, because he could already see that this girl in front of him, who was covered in a bloody light, was not a kind person. Ha ha, ha ha. Li Jiangxue threw her head back and laughed. What do you guys care? At the same time, her eyes revealed a look of resentment. At this moment, she understood that no matter who the two cultivators were, she couldn't destroy Wang Yu's soul, because soon the Galaxy Village would know everything. The Lotus Warriors of the Galaxy Village would rush over. So Li Jiangxue suddenly flew up and formed a seal with both hands. Whoosh! In the galaxy, countless ink soul grass went straight for the male and female cultivator. The ink soul grass array was one of the top arrays in Luo Fan Town. At this moment, Li Jiangshue's goal wasn't to kill, but to block these two cultivators and then escape. She completely believed that with the power of the ink soul grass formation, it would be enough to block two 9th-level Lotus Warriors for a while. The ink soul grass was indeed a first-class immortal grass. In the hands of different cultivators, it could display different effects. The reason why no cultivators would casually enter Mozhan Village for so many years was largely related to the existence of the ink soul grass. Whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, under Li Jiangshue's control, it instantly set up the formation. The surroundings of the two white-robed cultivators instantly turned into a black sea. The ink soul grass floated leisurely like seaweed. Each strand of ink soul grass was attached with lotus power. It was a formation that could kill a 7th-stage Lotus Warrior. Farewell, you two. Li Jiangshue's male voice laughed coldly. Turning around, he wanted to escape. But the white-robed female cultivator couldn't help but snort coldly You still want to leave after killing someone from my Xingyu world? How is that possible? Whoosh! The white-robed female cultivator only said one sentence, and the white-robed male cultivator stepped out of the ink's soul-grass formation. At that moment, Li Jiangxue almost didn't dare to believe her eyes, because, in her opinion, in Fallen Mortal Town, even formation experts like Jia Shusheng and Bai Yifeng could break the formation, but they definitely couldn't step out of the ink's soul-grass formation that she had set up. Unless it was the Dharma Lotus Venerable King. How could a 9th-stage Lotus Warrior step out of the formation so easily? What kind of footwork was that? Kill her. The white-robed female cultivator shouted coldly. She actually also stepped out of the formation, and her footsteps seemed to be even lighter than the white-robed cultivators. The ink's soul grass formation was like an empty shell in front of the white-robed female cultivator. The two white-robed cultivators, one on the left and one on the right, attacked at the same time. Li Jiangshue's own cultivation level wasn't high. She was originally only a 7th-stage Lotus Warrior. Relying on her own strength, it was absolutely impossible to avenge Li Jiangfeng. So, she used the Shinshu secret technique. She borrowed a spirit from a Shinshu Great World, and that spirit once belonged to the Shinshu Dharma King. That was the spirit of a peak Lotus Warrior. Li Jiangshue's physical body could just barely withstand the possession of that spirit. But she also paid a great price. She was no longer an independent existence. She retained a part of her consciousness, but she was no longer in control of everything. Peak 9th stage Lotus Warrior. Although that spirit possessed Li Jiangshue's body, it also had extremely strong combat power. A normal 9th-stage Lotus Warrior was definitely not her opponent. Actually, at this moment, what she was mainly afraid of was not the two 9th-stage Lotus Warriors in front of her, but the Galaxy Cultivators represented by M.O. Lang. But the people in front of her were also Galaxy Cultivators? Who were they? Chi. But before Li Jiangxue could think too much, a black light and a green light came straight for her. Li Jiangxue couldn't escape it all. At that moment, the demonic aura filled the starry sky. Chapter 11:14. Boom! Li Jiangxue spread her hands apart, emitting red and black energy. It had to be said that the hollow spirit that possessed Li Jiangxue was extremely powerful. Li Jiangxue managed to block the attacks of two white-robed cultivators all by herself. However, her face was already pale. One had to know that it was two 9th-stage Lotus Warriors working together. The two white-robed cultivators, on the other hand, looked calm. The white-robed male cultivator, who resembled Sumo, couldn't help but laugh. Looks like you can still struggle. You are Star River cultivators? Li Jiangxue gritted her teeth. That's right. The white-robed male cultivator said indifferently. You two aren't in Star River Village? Li Jiangxue said coldly. We just returned. The white-robed female cultivator said, can't we? Star River, detestable. Li Jiangshue's eyes flashed with viciousness. Is that so? The white-robed male cultivator first laughed. Then his expression turned cold. Star River is detestable? Just based on this sentence, you will die without a doubt today. You should know who you just killed. Whoosh! The white-robed male cultivator's eyes suddenly turned as black as ink. Demon Eye! At that moment, he was almost identical to Sumo. However, his demonic eyes were even darker than before. At the same time, he formed a seal with both hands. Demon Advent! The white-robed male cultivator shouted. His white robe instantly emitted endless black light. An incomparably huge demon god appeared in the middle of the galaxy. Its dark shadow covered half of the starry sky. At this moment, half of the galaxy was under the white-robed male cultivator's control. The other half of the galaxy was under the white-robed female cultivator's control. In all the realms, there was no woman more beautiful than the white-robed female cultivator. At the same time, her magical techniques were all over the world, because she had always been an unharmed existence. During the Great War of the Three Realms era, she was unharmed. During the great destruction of the Star River era, she also escaped. Demon Dance. The white-robed female cultivator shouted. Her and the white-robed male cultivator's magical techniques seemed to complement each other. Looking again, the half of the galaxy she ruled had directly manifested countless white-robed doppelgangers. Her long sleeves fluttered in the wind. Each doppelganger was filled with endless gentleness and beauty. At the same time, each doppelganger was filled with killing intent. In particular, their dance steps were unpredictable. Every step they took was on a very mysterious space-time node. Li Jiangxue knew that she couldn't leave today, because the other cultivators of the Milky Way would soon arrive. Ha ha! Ha! Li Jiangxue's long hair suddenly scattered, and her body emitted a bloody light that soared to the sky. The blood-red light contained boundless cold and gloomy energy. Divine Void Soul Descend, Wrath of the Guardian King. Li Jiangxue formed seals with her hands. It was a type of dead soul seal. At this moment, Li Jiangxue already knew that she would definitely die today. However, before she died, she had to drag someone down with her. In the surroundings, the endless ink soul grass instantly formed a large array. At the same time, a grayish-white lotus light flew out from Li Jiangxue's head. When the grayish-white lotus light appeared, the two white-robed cultivators felt their hearts tremble. This was because the grayish-white lotus light contained a power that was faintly suppressing him. He was at the peak of Lotus Knight 9th tier, and even possessed the might of a Law Emperor. Boom! Whoosh! In the Milky Way, even the demon dance technique was instantly weakened. In the Milky Way, layers upon layers of giant waves rolled up into the sky. The two white-robed cultivators couldn't help but look at each other. However, there wasn't much nervousness in their eyes. Instead, they looked at each other and smiled. Whoosh! The white-robed male cultivator's lips curled up, and his hand seals changed. From between his brows, a black Dharma treasure, the shadow of a coffin, suddenly flew out. At this moment, if there were any cultivators from the three realms present, they would definitely turn pale with fright. The devil coffin. It was the shadow of a devil coffin. The moment the coffin shadow appeared, it actually broke through Li Jiangxue's technique. In the grayish-white light, it charged straight at Li Jiangxue. The white-robed female cultivator's figure moved, and she actually disappeared. Li Jiangxue couldn't help but be stunned, because whether it was Li Jiangxue herself or the Yin soul that possessed her, they had never seen a cultivator use a coffin as a Dharma treasure. Although it seemed to be only the shadow of a coffin, it contained an indescribable power. The coffin's shadow fell from the sky. However, a gray longsword had already appeared in Li Jiangxue's hand. Her sword went straight for the coffin shadow. Boom! After all, that devil coffin was only a shadow. And Li Jiangxue's sword was a lianhua. With a long dragon's roar, the coffin shadow was directly dispersed. Li Jiangxue couldn't help but smile coldly. At this moment, her physical body had already begun to collapse, because she couldn't withstand the power of the Yin soul possession and the Great Lotus technique. However, she was still able to win in the end. Therefore, at that moment, there was a trace of complacency and contempt in her heart. The cultivators of the Star River were only SOSO. However, before she could complete her mental activities, she felt a slight chill in her immortal heart that had yet to collapse. When she looked again, she didn't know when the white-robed female cultivator had appeared in front of her. That beautiful female cultivator seemed to have appeared out of thin air. And in her hands was a pair of green longswords. The longswords were like water, a touch of green, and one of the swords had already pierced through Li Jiangxue's immortal heart. The people of the Star River will not die in vain. The white-robed female cultivator smiled coldly at Li Jiangxue, and then suddenly waved her other hand. This action was exactly the same as the one Li Jiangxue had used to kill Wang Yu. Puff! Li Jiangxue's head directly flew. At the same time, two souls soared into the sky. However, her immortal heart had already been shattered, and what flew out was only a remnant soul. The white-robed female cultivator softly shouted, "Explode!" Boom! With a command, the two remnant souls directly exploded in the starry sky. At this moment, a green light just happened to arrive from afar. Unfortunately, he didn't make it in time for the previous battle. The green-robed cultivator frowned. Chi waves surged, and his battle intent had yet to dissipate. Where was Wang Yu? He could no longer sense Wang Yu's soul. The smoke gradually dissipated. The green-robed cultivator couldn't help but be slightly stunned when he saw the pair of white-robed cultivators. Songhai. The two white-robed cultivators smiled warmly. Lihin, Shuang. Songhai's voice was slightly trembling. After the Star River was destroyed, they had never seen each other again. Back then, the Star River was destroyed, and all things died. Now, wandering in a different world, they met their old friends, and they were filled with emotions. Long time no see. Lihan smiled. Long time no see. Songhai let out a long sigh, but then his eyes dimmed. Unfortunately, I'm late. Has Wang Yu died? In a sense, Songhai and Amu were one. Therefore, when he sensed Wang Yu's last thought in Windwheel Village, he rushed out of the village. His physical body has dissipated, but his soul is still here. Shuang raised one hand. In her palm was Wang Yu's soul. However, at this time, she was completely unconscious and in a deep sleep. Songhai, we're also late. Lihin said apologetically. So, we can only save Miss Yu's soul. Whoosh! At this time, figures flashed in the galaxy. Demonic Lang, Wang Shui, and Child White Lotus appeared first, followed by Bai Lai, Hainon, and Huan Hua. Huan Hua carried the unconscious Shun Ming in her arms. Wang Yu and Shun Ming were a pair of twins intertwined by karma. They were connected. If one died, the other would definitely not live. You are Aunt. Demonic Lang and Wang Shui rushed over. Shuang gently sent Wang Yu's soul to Demonic Lang. Thank you, Senior. Demonic Lang bowed to Lihin and Shuang. At this time, it was not the time to talk. Demonic Lang raised one hand and directly sent Wang Yu's soul into the space between Shun Ming's eyebrows. For Wang Yu, Shun Ming's body was the best place for her to reside. Ming-er, Huan Hua called. Sister, sister. Shun Ming slowly woke up and shouted. Ming-er, your sister's soul is temporarily residing in your body. Huan Hua comforted. It's fine. Demonic Lang did not say anything. He only frowned and waved one hand. A water mirror appeared in the galaxy. Everything that happened just now was replayed in the water mirror. Everyone had seen the previous scene. Demonic Lang's expression was tense, and his gaze was somewhat terrifying. Tomorrow, I will flatten the Divine Void Village. Chapter 11:15. Li Jiangshui's choice to kill Wang Yu had crossed Mo Lang's bottom line. Li Jiangshui's killing of Wang Yu was completely different from Mo Lang's killing of Yixiao. That was because Yixiao had done all sorts of evil. However, Wang Yu had not. Mo Lang would not have been so angry if he had only killed Wang Yu. However, that was a cruel killing. Mo Lang knew how much Wang Yu had suffered. In the three realms, Wang Yu had been tortured by the tear of the river of forgetfulness. Amu had shattered the karma roulette, allowing Wang Yu and Shun Ming to be reborn at the same time. In this life, Wang Yu had chosen to be reincarnated for Amu. However, she had searched hard for Amu to no avail. Wang Yu had lived two lives. She had only cultivated and searched for Amu. She had never done evil. However, her fate had been so rough. Grandfather, Wang Shui said from the side, I can reforge Ant's immortal body. In fact, not only Wang Shui, but all the Lotus warriors present could do it. After all, Wang Shui was only at the 9th level of rebirth. Any Lotus warrior present could reforge a supremacy's body for her. However, Mo Lang shook his head. Mo Lang. Huan Hua was puzzled. Wang Yu had not completely fallen. Did she still need to be reincarnated? Mo Lang waved his hand and said to Shun Ming, Ming-er will be in your body for the time being. You two are one to begin with. As for her physical body, wait for AMU to come out and let AMU reforge it for her. I think that must be you, Er's wish. When everyone heard this, they understood Mo Lang's thoughts. The cultivators of Galaxy Village knew what AMU meant to Wang Yu. All right. Shenming nodded. Huan nodded as well. Grandfather, are you really going to the Divine Void Village tomorrow? Wang Shui asked. Of course. Mo Lang said. The Divine Void Village will disappear from Luofeng Town. Otherwise, my heart will not be at ease. I'm going too, Wang Shui said. No one needs to go. Mo Lang shook his head. I alone am enough. There wouldn't be many people in Divine Void Village to begin with. Furthermore, I do not wish to expose your strength. However, the speed at which the sky changes will accelerate. Wang Shui still wanted to say something, and White Lotus Boy was also eager to try. He naturally didn't want to miss out on a fight. Devil darling, go alone, Immortal Venerable Vast Sea said. Therefore, Wang Shui didn't speak again. After this incident, no one was in the mood to drink anymore. Fortunately, Wang Yu's storage bag hadn't shattered yet. After Bai Lai and Hei Nong took the Phoenix blood, they wanted to go to Duanxiu Village. However, Li Hin and Shuang stopped them. Fellow Taoists, we're on our way to the Cutsli Village. This Phoenix blood shall be handed over by us husband and wife. Li Hin cupped his fists towards Bai Lai and Hei Nong. At that moment, Bai Lai and Hei Nong already knew their identities, so they did not refuse and directly handed the Phoenix blood to Li Hin and Shuang. Then I'll have to trouble you too, Hei Nong said. Then, eldest senior brother Windmill and Bai Lai bid farewell to everyone and returned to Windmill. You're not going to Galaxy Village? Vasi looked at Li Hin and Shuang. Vasi, we won't go for now. Shuang nodded and said, I want to go to Duanxiu Village and pay my respects to the two old ancestors. Previously, they've already lifted the ancient curse of the demon race. That's why Li Hin and I dare to come back. He, Vasi laughed, and then cupped his fist towards Li Hin and Shuang. Congratulations to the two of you. You finally don't have to be bound by that curse anymore. After you pay your respects to the two old ancestors, I hope to meet you in Galaxy Village. Definitely. Li Hin and Shuang cupped their fists. Therefore, everyone bid farewell and dispersed. Li Hin and Shuang went straight to Duanxiu Village. In Duanxiu Village, Lung Yu and Gu Xing were sitting on rocking chairs in the bamboo building. In front of them stood two cultivators, one male and one female. The male cultivator was young, dressed in a short cyan robe and holding a bamboo flute. The female cultivator was dressed in plain cotton clothes and looked very elegant and plain. They were none other than the two great lotus warriors of the Hanya world, Lucidum and Xinlian. They were summoned by the two old ancestors and had just returned to Fallen Mortal Town. How's the purification of Yizong world? Lung Yu asked. Currently, it hasn't been purified to Hanya world yet. Lucidum answered, but half of Glay's astral realm star regions have already been destroyed. Hee. Lung Yu laughed coldly. Everything will happen sooner or later. Without cultivators at the level of Law Lotus King, no one can reverse everything. From today onwards, demons of the venerable realm and above in Hanya world can return to the village. Gu Xing said. When Lucidum and Xinlian heard this, they couldn't help but look pleasantly surprised. Before this, they never dared to think that other demons could seek refuge here besides the two of them. That was because the two old ancestors liked peace and quiet and hated noisy places. Moreover, all living beings in Yizong world were perhaps ants in their eyes. Old ancestors, is this true? Lucidum didn't believe it. Hee. Gu Xing laughed. Spirit child, when have we ever lied? However, after they come, I want to call myself a small world around this bamboo house. Other than the two of you, don't let anyone disturb our peace. Child understands. Lucidum hurriedly said. Spirit child, go down to the lower realm and do this. Gu Xing said. Spirit child, stay here first. I have something to ask you. Lucidum immediately left. What do the two old ancestors want to ask? Xianlian said respectfully. Spirit child, let me ask you, do you know her? As he spoke, Gu Xing held the purple box in his hand with one hand. A divine soul faintly appeared from within. This, Xianlian couldn't help but be slightly stunned. Then, he focused for a moment before saying slowly, in reply to the two old ancestors, "I've never seen this divine soul before." "Oh," Gu Xing couldn't help but smile. "Isn't this the plum blossom fairy that you once accepted as a disciple?" "No," Xianlian said with certainty. "This divine soul isn't one of Child's disciples. However, they once belonged to the same person." Lung Yu nodded. "Then that's right. The plum blossom fairy's divine soul once split. One part became the soul in this Zillian, and the other became Child's disciple." Gu Xing said as he looked at Lung Yu. "That's right." Lung Yu nodded. Then, he looked at Xianlian and said, "If my guess is correct, the plum blossom fairy that you accepted in the past, her memories weren't complete, right?" "Yes." Xianlian frowned. "Her name is Wu Er. She remembers many things from the past, including everything that happened in the three-realm Star River. However, one of her experiences in the Yizong world is blank. She would occasionally mention the name Mu Bai Gu. However, all of her memories are there. Mu Bai Gu. Lung Yu sighed. In order to find the demon king of the three realms, that plum blossom fairy reincarnated countless times and split her divine soul. That's why he's left with neither his body nor his soul. Mu Jinghong, Mu Hongchun, Mu Baigu, they're all her. Unfortunately, they aren't her." Gu Xing sighed. "I wonder if there are any other fragments of her soul in the various realms. It's rare for her to be so infatuated with love." "Ancestor, you want to save her?" Xianlian asked. "Yes." Lung Yu and Gu Xing nodded at the same time. "The Windwheel lineage came to beg us. We have already agreed. Moreover, we have already undone the ancient curse of the demon race. The ancient curse has been undone." Xianlian's eyes lit up. Lung Yu and Gu Xing couldn't help but look at each other. Then they smiled bitterly. "Child fairy, you can go and find your lover now." Gu Xing smiled. "However, before that, you have to go to the village entrance and take a look. Our race's most powerful demon's lover has returned." Chapter 11:16. Outside Cut Sleeve Village, Li Hin and Shuang bowed. "Seniors, the ancestor invites you." Xianlian came out of the village to welcome them and bowed to Li Hin and Shuang. "Thank you." Li Hin and Shuang nodded slightly to Xianlian. Thus, Xianlian led them directly to the front of the bamboo building. However, Lung Yu and Gu Xing had their backs to them. Heavenly Fox, Xue Ying, and husband Li Hin greet the two ancestors. Then, Xue Ying and Li Hin knelt behind Lung Yu and Gu Xing and kowtowed 3 times. However, Lung Yu and Gu Xing did not turn around. Xue Ying knelt quietly, and Li Hin's expression was calm. Cloth-clothed Xianlian was not far away, standing respectfully. They knew why the two ancestors did not turn around. "You're finally willing to come back?" After a while, Gu Xing sighed and asked, "If we don't remove the curse, you won't come to Fallen Mortal Town, right?" Lung Yu said. When the curse was still there, Shuang did not dare to return. "Firstly, I was afraid that the two ancestors would be sad and angry. Secondly, I was afraid that I would implicate the cultivators of the galaxy." Xue Ying said, "For tens of thousands of years, Li Hin and I have been cultivating in seclusion. We just don't want to touch the curse again and ask for a life and death relationship." "A life and death relationship." Gu Xing sneered. "The ancient curse has been broken. You can already be free and live and die together. Why do you need to return to Cut Sleeve Village?" "Xue Ying is a demon," Xue Ying said. "Therefore, I should greet the two ancestors. If the ancestors agree, I am willing to be filial by the two ancestors' side for the rest of my life. At the same time, I also want the two ancestors to meet Li Hin. Whether it is a demon, or a human, there is a difference between good and evil. Li Hin and I have always loved each other. Maybe it can comfort the two ancestors." Silence, then 2 sighs. Lung Yu and Gu Xing turned at the same time and looked at Xue Ying and Li Hin. "Get up," Lung Yu said slowly. "You and Sumo are not bad. Gu Xing said to Li Hin. Thank you, ancestors. Li Hin and Shuang said at the same time and stood up slowly. It's good that you're back. Lung Yu let out a long sigh. Gu Xing and I are getting old. You are the only one among the demon clans who can inherit our legacy. Patriarch, Patriarch. Shui Ying and Xian Lian's faces changed when they heard Lung Yu's words. That was because they all knew that the two old ancestors possessed undying bodies. So how could they be considered elders? These words were a little strange. Lung Yu and Gu Xing waved their hands. After Yao died, we no longer officially accepted disciples. Shuang, today we are willing to officially accept you as our disciple. Are you willing? Shuang was stunned at first, then immediately knelt down and kowtowed. Disciple Shuang kowtows to the two masters. Lung Yu and Gu Xing finally revealed gratified smiles on their faces. In fact, this was equivalent to fulfilling one of their wishes. This way, even if they fell, they wouldn't have any regrets. Very good. Lung Yu and Gu Xing nodded at the same time. Stand up. Snow Shadow, Li Hin, many small worlds have already formed in the Cut Sleeves village. You can choose any place to settle down. Cut Sleeves is your home, and so is Xing River. Thank you again, two old ancestors. Li Hin bowed. He was really moved. After all, they had been drifting all these years. Now, in Luo Fan Town, they finally had a sense of belonging. Actually, this was also Shui Ying's long-cherished wish. Fairy child, accompany them for a walk. After all, you're still familiar with this village, Lung Yu said again. In the future, Shuang will be everyone's senior sister. In the entire demon clan, she will be the leader after me and Gu Xing. Fairy child understands, Xian Lian replied, then turned to Shui Ying and said, Senior sister, this way please. I will show you the whole village. Shui Ying and Li Hin nodded. Master, this is the phoenix blood that Windmill's Hei Nong asked me to bring you. Shui Ying remembered Windmill's request, then directly sent 4 drops of phoenix blood to Lung Yu and Gu Xing. Gu Xing took the phoenix blood and looked at Lung Yu with a faint smile. It seems that Xing River also wants us to do our best. Those 2 villages are all sly and cunning. Hee hee. Lung Yu said, you 2 can leave. Shuang and Li Hin bid farewell to the 2 old ancestors and followed Xian Lian. In front of the bamboo house, only Lung Yu and Gu Xing were left. Gu Xing kept the phoenix blood, then held the purple box and the phoenix blood in his hand with a playful expression. Lung Yu, if we save this plum blossom sprite, our cultivation will be damaged. Gu Xing said. Hee hee. Lung Yu nodded. Of course. In fact, the 2 souls that the carpenter had sent back were basically people who were already dead. Baishan wanted to exhaust Luo Fan Town. That Sumo's soul, although still had a trace of life. If Windmill's lineage wanted to save him, they would definitely bet everything. Otherwise, Bai Lai would not have come to beg us. With Shui Ying's return, we have nothing to worry about. Gu Xing said, but can we really return a complete plum blossom sprite to Windmill or Xing River? Lung Yu shook her head. Impossible. Lung Yu smiled bitterly and said, that plum blossom sprite's divine soul has already been exhausted in the endless reincarnations. It's already good that we can revive her. She will not be able to return to her original state. In essence, she is no longer the original plum blossom sprite. Gu Xing smiled helplessly. In essence, she is still the original plum blossom sprite. It's just that after so many reincarnations, she can no longer return. Lung Yu's words had a deeper meaning. We will do our best and leave the rest to the heavens. Gu Xing said. Lung Yu nodded. Our divine skin is still here, right? Of course. Gu Xing smiled. Otherwise, how would we dare to promise Bai Lai that we can save her? That despicable Bai Lai. Lung Yu scolded jokingly. He definitely knows our methods and also knows to use Windmill Monarch. We will definitely return the favor from back then. We still have 4 drops of phoenix blood. We can definitely revive that plum blossom sprite. Fortunately, she is also considered to have demon bloodline. We still have a lot of confidence. Gu Xing said. Tomorrow, we will start our seclusion. Lung Yu nodded, then looked in the direction of White Mountain. Gu Xing, we still have to hurry. No one can predict the current situation. We cannot be late. All right. Gu Xing nodded solemnly. The next day, as expected, Lung Yu and Gu Xing went into seclusion. The entire Cut Sleeve village was under Snow Shadow's control, with Immortal Lotus and Lucidum's cooperation. Demons above the supremacy level also came to Cut Sleeve village one after another. Cut Sleeve village was bustling with activity. Galaxy village. Mo Lang stepped out of the village. He was still dressed in a black robe. This time, he did not even bring the illusion flower. He was alone. Between the stars, Mo Lang's figure flashed. His target was naturally Divine Void Village. At the same time, Monkey Moo was actually chanting sutras and meditating at the boundary stone outside Ink Mountain Village. The moment Mo Lang left Galaxy Village, Monk Emu opened his eyes. He turned in the direction of Ink Mountain Village and put his palms together. Thank you, Black Lotus Dharmaraja, for your guidance. This little monk will not let you down. With that, Monk Emu bowed, then headed in the direction of Divine Void Village. Chapter 1117. Before Li Jiangfeng and Li Jiangxue returned, the Divine Void Village had long been desolate. Their return gave Godly Void Village a new lease of life. However, both of them had already perished. Hence, there was no one in the village now. However, everyone understood that the current Divine Void Village was completely different from the dead Divine Void Village back then. It was like the difference between a dormant volcano and a dormant volcano. The current Divine Void Village was definitely a threat. Mo Lang wanted to reduce this threat to zero. He wanted to completely erase the Divine Void Village from the map of the Fallen Mortal Realm. Mo Lang's speed was very fast. After leaving Galaxy Village, he saw Divine Tribulation Village in just a few steps. In fact, some new space-time had already appeared between Galaxy Village and Divine Tribulation Village. Mo Lang did not stop at all and went around them. Outside Divine Void Village, Mo Lang saw Monk Emu. However, his expression did not change much. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. He would kill every monk from Meru Village he saw. Mo Lang's thoughts had never changed. However, Monk Shumi's appearance at the entrance of Divine Void Village still puzzled him. Outside Divine Void Village, Mo Lang and Monk Emu faced each other from afar. Amipa. Monk Emu put his palms together at Mo Lang, his expression extremely calm. Mo Lang laughed coldly and asked deliberately, "Are you a monk from Divine Void Village?" "My Dharma name is Emu," Monk Emu said. 2 days ago, I killed Monkey Shio. Don't you know? Mo Lang asked. "That's my junior brother." "Then are you here to avenge him today?" "Not at all." Monk Emu shook his head. "I'm not here to avenge my junior brother. I'm here to persuade fellow Taoist Mo Lang to mend his ways. We Buddhas are fated to help others. I can't bear to see you make mistakes again." "Huh?" Mo Lang could not help but laugh. The Meru lineage deceives the world. A bunch of fake Buddhas actually dare to talk nonsense about Buddhism? Actually, I do know some Buddhism. Why don't I teach you? Oh, Monkey Moo was very interested. What? The Transcendence Method? Mo Lang shouted coldly and did not waste any more words with Emu. To Mo Lang, talking to Monk Emu was a waste of time. Who? Demonic Lang's figure moved, turning into a streak of black light and heading straight for a tree. He formed a claw with one hand and grabbed Monkey Moo's chest. Both of them were at the 9th tier of the Lotus Realm. In theory, their battle prowess should be about the same. However, 2 days ago, Mo Lang had single-handedly killed 2 9th-tier Lotus warriors, so Mo Lang's battle prowess couldn't be measured by realm. Imu was not used to the fact that Mo Lang had decided to fight just like that. This was because he originally wanted to use his silver tongue to sway Mo Lang's mind. However, Mo Lang didn't give him a chance. Mo Lang didn't even ask him why he was standing in front of Divine Void Village. All of this was illogical. In fact, he didn't know that the Devil Lang was a cultivator who didn't follow common sense. Who? Mo Lang brought with him the might of the nine heavens and grabbed a piece of wood. There was a faint green glow in Mo Lang's palm. It was a pure ocean immortal art. Imu thought to himself, although this move is ferocious, it's not that bizarre. Imu leaned to the side, and at the same time his hands, which had been put together, formed a seal. His body suddenly emitted a faint Buddhist light, but there was a faint pink aura in the Buddhist light. It was an extremely strange feeling. Shumi monks all cultivated amidst piles of powder and powder. The light on Imu's body shone and instantly turned into a chain, locking down Mo Lang. Mo Lang couldn't help but sneer. "Disperse!" Mo Lang shouted softly, and his body suddenly emitted a green glow. Boom! The green glow on Mo Lang's body directly dispersed the chain that Monk Imu had released. At the same time, the direction of Mo Lang's hand changed, and he grabbed Monk Imu again. This time, Mo Lang was going for his throat. This scene made Monk Imu's heart palpitate, because he suddenly remembered that Monk Ishio had been strangled to death by Mo Lang. Could it be that Mo Lang wanted to kill him like this? Otherwise, why would Mo Lang use the same move to grab him? At the same time, Mo Lang's gaze was too confident and calm. That gaze in itself was a form of deterrence, because only an absolute powerhouse would have such a gaze. Thinking of this, Monk Imu's heart moved. Who inks soul grass? Countless ink soul grass flew out from Monk Imu's side. They directly entangled Mo Lang. Seeing the ink soul grass, Mo Lang's expression changed slightly, because when Li Jiangxiu had tortured and killed Wang Yu, she had used the ink soul grass. It seemed that the appearance of the ink soul grass was not a coincidence. Someone from Mozhan village had returned. Mo Lang's eyes narrowed slightly. Black Lotus? Mo Lang's heart moved. However, this was not the time to think carefully. After all, the ink soul grass covered the sky and covered the earth. Every ink soul grass had the power of a lotus warrior. Such a ink soul grass was indeed difficult to deal with for ordinary lotus warriors. However, Mo Lang didn't care at all. "Destroy!" Mo Lang shouted softly. Then, he slashed the void with one hand. In an instant, countless talismans appeared. They instantly turned into a forbidden diagram. Suddenly, 2 fire dragons appeared in the forbidden diagram. Whoosh! The 2 fire dragons crossed and flew. Those ink soul grass directly turned into black smoke and instantly disappeared into the starry sky. When Monk Imu saw this, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Then, he suddenly flew up. Whoosh! He swung one hand and took out a wooden fish. That wooden fish expanded in the wind and went straight for Mo Lang's head. "Lianbois." Mo Lang raised his head and sneered. This time, he did not use the mortal coffin. Instead, he raised one hand. In his hand, there was already a green longsword. Boom! Mo Lang did not seem to be stingy with his Dharma treasure. He directly used his sword to meet Monk Imu's wooden fish. This startled Monk Imu. After all, if it was a Dharma treasure of the same level, the wooden sword should be broken easily. Crack! However, Monk Imu immediately changed his mind. With a loud sound, Monk Imu's wooden fish was actually cut in half by Mo Lang's green sword. Monk Imu turned pale with fright. Not only was Mo Lang domineering, but his Dharma treasure seemed to completely surpass cultivators of the same level. And in the instant that Monk Imu was stunned, Mo Lang's figure moved. This time, he was stepping on the forbidden map. Similarly, he reached out with one hand and directly grabbed Monk Imu's throat. Mo Lang really wanted to use the exact same method to kill Imu. In that instant, Imu seemed to be in a daze. He actually did not dodge, or rather did not dodge. Bang! Mo Lang grabbed Imu's neck in one move. Mo Lang did not hesitate and directly exerted force. When he looked again, Imu's mouth opened wide, and his face instantly turned as red as a pig's liver. Imu was about to die like Ishio. However, at this moment, a black gas suddenly flew out of Imu's mouth. Mo Lang, don't be arrogant. That was actually a heartless voice. At the same time, the ink soul grass that had turned into black smoke came back to life and surrounded Mo Lang. Chapter 11:18. Black Lotus Chi. Demon Lang swung his arm, and Monk Emu was flung dozens of miles away. However, he did not die. Instead, his eyes shone with endless black light. At the same time, his body began to glow with black light. It was the heartless light. That was the power of Fallow Lotus King. Amitabha. Emu chanted the name of Buddha. At the same time, cracks appeared on his body. It was exactly the same as Li Jianshue's situation. Possessed by the power of the Black Lotus? Devil darling, you will definitely die today. Heartless voice came from Emu's mouth again. Black Lotus, if you have the ability, then hurry back to Mo Mountain Village. The green energy on Mo Lang's body was vast and mighty. You can indeed kill me, Mo Lang, but what can a soul possessed by you do to me? If you want to kill me, please descend with your true body. Otherwise, I will definitely kill you. With that said, the shape of a mortal coffin appeared above Mo Lang's head. The grayish-white light shot straight into space. Monk Emu's eyes bulged and his face was ferocious. This was a chance for Ishio to take revenge, so he accepted the Black Lotus possession. It was Black Lotus who had sent him a message that day. At this moment, he quickly formed a seal. A Black Lotus appeared above his head. At this moment, Onewood was fighting for Heartless. As soon as the Black Lotus energy appeared, many cultivators in Fallen Mortal Town looked towards the starry sky outside Divine Void Village. Black Lotus Heartless? He was back. It seemed to be much earlier than everyone had expected. The Windwheel Masters couldn't help but frown, because Sumo had yet to be resurrected. The expression of the East Border Law Enforcer also changed. In the Galaxy Village, Wang Shui pulled Child White Lotus. The two of them sneaked out of the Galaxy Village and dared to head for the starry sky outside the Divine Void Village. This battle once again caught the attention of many great cultivators in Fallen Mortal Town, who Mo Lang didn't say much. No matter who it was, he would just kill them, unless Mo Lang didn't attack. Once he did, he would definitely die. The mortal coffin went straight for the Black Lotus. In truth, the Black Lotus was the manifestation of a Law Emperor's divine sense. If he met an ordinary Lotus Warrior 9th layer, he would definitely be able to suppress the other party. However, the one it encountered was the devil. The mortal coffin in Mo Lang's hands was an existence that surpassed Lianbua. Boom! Crack! The mortal coffin pressed down and directly collided with the Black Lotus. As expected, the Black Lotus was no match for the mortal coffin. Beneath the mortal coffin, everything turned to dust. That cry of alarm was already unclear whether it was Emu's or Heartless. Although they had an estimate of Mo Lang's combat strength, they were still surprised. With a thought from Mo Lang, the forbidden paintings around him rose up again. The colorful flames reappeared, directly turning the ink soul grass into smoke again. Unfortunately, the appearance of Heartless did not change the situation of the battle at all. The devil seemed to be unstoppable. He stepped forward again. His palm glowed with 7-colored light. The light of the forbidden painting enveloped Monk Emu. Demonic Lang grabbed Emu's neck with one hand again. This situation was exactly the same as before. Devil Darling, Onewood, and Heartless appeared almost at the same time. You'll regret this. The ENC lineage never regrets. Mo Lang sneered. Destroy. Mo Lang roared and exerted force in his hand. Bam! Like a balloon, Emu's body was crushed by Mo Lang. In an instant, immortal chi scattered in all directions, mixed with endless black light. Withdraw. At this moment, the lid of the mortal coffin opened. Instantly, a vortex of air appeared at the entrance of the coffin. All the scattered power in the universe was sucked into the mortal coffin. The mortal coffin seemed to be even more grayish. Oomph! Mo Lang sneered and then raised his eyebrows. He did not directly withdraw the mortal coffin. Instead, he waved his hand. Boom! The mortal coffin charged directly at the Divine Void Village. At the same time, Mo Lang's hands changed seals, and a forbidden painting path appeared in front of him. Mo Lang stepped onto the forbidden painting and entered the divine void village. At this moment, the scholar overseeing the eastern fence tower shook his head with a bitter smile. "Young master, what's wrong?" Fu Hua asked from the side. "Nothing." The scholar shook his head. "I'm just watching Mo Lang cause destruction. The divine void village is probably going to suffer." However, only he knew in his heart that he had actually set up a protective barrier outside the divine void village. However, the barrier was useless in front of Mo Lang. If Mo Lang wanted to enter the divine void village, it would be as easy as walking on flat ground. The power of the starry river was somewhat terrifying. The divine void village was still full of life. After all, Li Jiangfeng and Li Jiangxue had reorganized the village. However, this was somewhat glaring to Mo Lang. "Destroy." Mo Lang's eyes narrowed slightly, and then he flicked his long sleeve. The forbidden painting and mortal coffin rampaged through the divine void village. Destruction was always easier than creation. Mo Lang stood in the divine void village with a cold expression. Endless forbidden paintings spread out from under his feet. They were like endless waves without end. The entire divine void village was collapsing. It was really disappearing at a rapid pace. In Eastern Fence Town, the expressions of the few enforcers changed. At that moment, it was as if Mo Lang was purifying the divine void village. "Boss, are we not going to do anything?" Lontong asked in the Eastern Fence shop. "Ha!" Boss Qian shook his head. The two from the Tower of Listening and Observation Lake can hear and see, but they don't care. What can a shop like us do? Once the balance is broken, everything will naturally happen. We can't do anything about this. Ha! Little Shirtu and Lontong looked at each other and smiled helplessly. Currently, the Eastern Fence enforcers seemed to be watching from the sidelines. Moreover, with Mo Lang's current state, it felt like the Eastern Fence enforcers would be destroyed. He was simply invincible. In the Windwheel Village, all the seniors and juniors were watching this scene. They were equally shocked. Yesterday, Black Farmer and Bai Lai had heard with their own ears that Mo Lang was going to destroy the Divine Void Village, but they had only treated it as Mo Lang's angry words. Unexpectedly, Mo Lang really did it today. Moreover, he did it cleanly and domineeringly. Little 7. Go tell Old 4 to speed up the progress of pill refinement. Eldest senior brother sighed. Look, the speed of the heavenly transformation is increasing. Since Black Lotus can send his consciousness back, it means that he's not far from here. All right. Bai Yifeng turned and left. In the unknown land. Galactic cultivators, you've gone too far. Elder Lian's angry voice sounded. Ha ha ha. Joyful Girl's voice sounded. Elder Lian, why don't you descend with your true body? That heartless consciousness has been destroyed. Amitba, Love Monk chanted. Mo Lang deserves to be killed. Love Monk, what are your plans? Elder Lian asked. He destroyed my divine void village, which is equivalent to blocking my path of descent. If I can't descend, the 4 of us can't gather our strength to open the door to the true art. Amitba, this penniless monk will wait a little longer. Le Monk said, the Meru realm will soon become a great world. Once it is formed, I will definitely descend. Ha ha! Elder Lian sneered. Are the 2 of you prepared to let my divine void village die first? Elder Lian, you're wrong. Le Monk said. Now, Mo Lang is destroying the divine void village. This penniless monk thinks that Elder Lian should do his best to stop him and buy time for us. Once the great world is formed, this penniless monk is willing to be the first to descend. Elder Lian, this little monk is right. Joyful Girl, stop joking. Black Lotus is about to arrive, but he has already destroyed a consciousness. Now, Elder Lian, you're the only one who can suppress Mo Lang. All right, Elder Lian groaned and responded coldly. Then the unknown land fell silent. Chapter 11:19. The Divine Void Village was dying. The speed at which it was dying was almost the same as the rate at which it was expanding. Mo Lang stood in the middle of the village like a god of destruction. Mo Lang's forbidden map continued to spread. That was the beauty of the forbidden map. Unless Mo Lang took the initiative to disperse the forbidden map, it would borrow the power of the divine void village to continue its inference. Once the forbidden map spread faster than the divine void village's expansion, the divine void village would be completely destroyed. Mo Lang's head was the mortal coffin. Mo Lang watched everything with a cold expression. He seemed to be waiting for someone to appear. He didn't quite believe that the guardian kings behind the divine void village would just watch as the village was destroyed. Whoosh, whoosh, looking at the divine void village or the divine void world from the perspective of the entire galaxy, one would discover that it was constantly churning. Mo Lang's forbidden map was like an iron plow that wanted to plow through the entire divine void world. In East Fence Village, the enforcers frowned. Scholar Jia's figure flashed, and he left the world-listening tower and went to the lakeside. At this time, Mr. Ren was still sitting firmly by the lakeside. However, the divine void village was being displayed on the surface of the lake. "Are we really not going to do anything about it?" the scholar asked. "Huh." Mr. Ren laughed bitterly. "How? Do we use the power of White Mountain to stop Mo Lang?" Putting aside the fact that White Mountain didn't give such an order, whether White Mountain's power can completely suppress Mo Lang is a problem. Don't you see that your boundary formation is useless against him? "I haven't used the world-listening godly brush," the scholar said. "That's true." Mr. Ren nodded. "If the two of us act at the same time, there's a high chance that we can suppress Mo Lang. However, don't forget that there are still a few experts in the Stellar River Village. Their cultivation and battle prowess aren't necessarily weaker than Mo Lang's. The Stellar River Village has been concealing its strength and biding its time. Moreover, Windmill and the Stellar River Village are very close. What if Windmill's people attack?" "Windmill?" Sigh. The scholar couldn't help but let out a sigh. Not to mention the relationship between Mr. Ren and Bai Yifeng. He himself was quite friendly with the few members of the Windwheel group. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he was not willing to become enemies with Windmill. White Mountain's Grand Lotus must be watching everything, Mr. Ren said. The two souls were sent back by White Mountain. Many things were also facilitated by them. So, without Bai Shan's clear orders, we'll just watch. The current development of the situation is no longer something that we, the few law enforcement officers, can control. Actually, we have always been puppets of White Mountain, haven't we? Mr. Ren sneered. Then let's be puppets. The scholar looked at the scenery of the observation lake and said meaningfully, "Angler, if there really is a decree from the Great Lotus Venerable, will you still obey it?" Mr. Ren looked indifferent and then chuckled. "Scholar, isn't there no decree yet?" The scholar listened and didn't ask any more. He nodded. Mr. Ren had actually given him the answer. Time passed, one day and one night. Demon Lang's extermination of the village was still in progress. Outside the godly void village, Wang Shui and White Lotus Boy had been hiding in the dark. With their cultivation realms, it was not difficult for them to do this. Yawn. White Lotus Boy opened his mouth wide. "Junior Sister Shui, I think it's fine. Your grandfather can handle everything by himself. Why don't we go back? I'm a little hungry." "Hungry? You, the Dharma Lotus Venerable, are saying that you're hungry." Wang Shui criticized in her heart, but she smiled and said, "Senior brother boy, bear with it. After we go back, I'll ask my aunt to make you a 9th grade lotus seed drink." 9th grade lotus seed drink? White Lotus Boy's eyes lit up. "Is it delicious?" "Of course," Wang Shui said. "When I was a child, I drank too much, and I couldn't forget it. However, if this lotus seed drink can add some Dharma King Lotus Heart, that would be great." Dharma King Lotus Heart? White Lotus Boy's small face changed, and then he hurriedly held his heart. "Junior Sister Shui, you can't let me use the Lotus Heart to make soup." "Not all." "What are you thinking?" Wang Shui said. "Can we use our own Lotus Heart to make soup? Aren't you and I waiting?" "Who has it?" White Lotus Boy asked quickly. Wang Shui pouted in the direction of the godly void village. "Demon Lang, he is Dharma Lotus Venerable?" White Lotus couldn't help but shout, "But, Junior Sister Shui, this isn't good. He's your grandfather. Although I want to eat it, but, Wang Shui really wanted to hammer White Lotus Boy, but she couldn't beat him. Senior brother boy, why are you so stubborn? Wang Shui was exasperated at his failure to meet her expectations. Can I use my grandfather's lotus heart? Besides, my grandfather isn't Dharma Lotus Venerable, but he looks like him, White Lotus Boy said solemnly. He doesn't look like him either. Godly Void Village has a Dharma King behind it. Wang Shui pointed it out directly. Now, Godly Void is being destroyed. Once the Dharma King behind it can't bear it anymore, he might descend here. Then, our chance will come. Wang Shui gestured with her hand. Kill the Dharma King and take the Lotus Heart. White Lotus Boy's eyes lit up again, and he instantly lost all his sleepiness. Was there anything more blissful than killing the Dharma King and eating delicious food? The answer, of course, was no. Whoosh, whoosh. Demon Lang's deduction speed had already begun to exceed the speed of Godly Void Village's expansion. At this moment, in the center of Godly Void Village, not far from Demon Lang, there was a sudden movement. Demon Lang's brows couldn't help but twitch slightly. It was as if a wisp of flame had suddenly risen on an existence that had already turned to ashes, ashes that had been reignited. Boom! Then, the flames soared hundreds of feet. In the center of Godly Void Village, a beam of light suddenly appeared that soared into the sky. When that beam of light appeared, the mighty figures of Luofan Town's villages were slightly shocked. Water splashed on the surface of Guanxi Lake. At the same time, all the mirror images instantly disappeared. Dharma Lotus King, Jia Shusheng, and Mr. Ren's expressions both changed. Because Guanxi Lake could not spy on the existence of Dharma Lotus King. The two looked at each other, and then their figures directly disappeared from the side of Guanxi Lake. In Windwheel Village, the expressions of the Windwheel figures guarding in front of the Windwheel Palace all changed. Dharma Lotus King, Bai Lai said in a low voice. The Godly Void World's Dharma King has arrived. He was more familiar with the aura of this kind of Dharma King than the other Windwheel figures. Fourth senior brother, who was refining elixirs in the house, couldn't help but change his expression. Because he discovered that the flames in his furnace suddenly surged. The appearance of Dharma Lotus King's aura actually caused his refining speed to suddenly increase. Inside Godly Void Village, there was a rumble. Demon Lang's expression instantly became solemn. Although he was already mentally prepared for the possible appearance of Godly Void Dharma King, when the power of a Dharma King appeared, he still felt an unprecedented pressure. Boom! Crack! The forbidden map around the light instantly began to shatter. In fact, it was not only the forbidden map that was shattering, but the entire Godly Void world was also shattering, because it could not completely withstand Dharma Lotus King's power. Looking again, an old man appeared in the light. The old man was tall and strong, with a long white beard scattered in front of his chest. His face was ruddy, and he had a sage-like demeanor. He wore a moon-white Taoist robe with a gray-white lotus embroidered in the center. At this moment, he frowned and looked coldly at Demon Lang. Those who destroy my garden, I will kill them. Elder Lien, White Lotus Boy looked at the old man and sneered. At the same time, he eagerly licked his lips. The soup is here. Chapter 1120. The Dharmaraja had arrived. M.O. Lang raised his eyebrows, and the coffin above his head buzzed. Even the divine weapon, which surpassed Lianbua, seemed to be nervous when facing the Dharmaraja King. Whoosh! Then Elder Lien waved his hand. Endless lotus energy surged toward him like a tidal wave. The forbidden map was broken, and so was the divine void. M.O. Lang couldn't help but retreat. Even he couldn't fight a Dharmaraja head-on. He retreated and quickly formed a seal with both hands. The sky was filled with azure light, emitting all kinds of phenomena in the vast sea. At the same time, the grayish-white light in the coffin was hidden in the azure light. The forbidden map under M.O. Lang's feet quickly changed. However, it seemed to only be able to protect 100 feet around M.O. Lang. Anything beyond that was shattered by Elder Lien's power. Boom! Crack! Elder Lien's power collided with Mo Lang's. The galaxy was filled with the sound of shattering. Layers of clouds rolled and waves surged. Mo Lang's body abruptly retreated dozens of miles. Smoke filled the space between him and Elder Lien. Mo Lang's face turned pale. However, the forbidden painting and the devil coffin really did protect him. He wasn't injured. Mo Lang had blocked Dharmaraja King's attack. All the cultivators watching the battle were shocked. In theory, a Lotus Knight shouldn't be able to fight against Dharmaraja King. They weren't even on the same level. Scholar Jia, who had arrived, said, Mo Lang is a peak Lotus Knight, and this isn't Elder Lien's real body. Mr. Ren added, he's still suppressing his cultivation. Otherwise, the divine void would have collapsed. He's just a clone. Dharmaraja King's clone was enough to kill any Lotus Knight. Even if you were a peak Lotus Knight, it was a miracle that Mo Lang didn't die in one move. Oomph. Elder Lien sneered. His body didn't move. However, he was also shocked. Mo Lang, a galactic cultivator, didn't die in one move. Divine void turned into smoke. Elder Lien didn't say anything else. He waved his hand again. Dharmaraja King didn't need to form seals anymore. Elder Lien let out a soft cry. Naturally, the spell was completed. Countless wisps of azure smoke rose from the galaxy. The green smoke was created out of nothing. They suddenly appeared in the interstellar space, completely trapping Mo Lang within. The green smoke seemed like a formation, yet it wasn't. It was hazy and constantly changing. It was just that the green smoke actually could not advance an inch when it reached the edge of Mo Lang's forbidden painting. Chi-chi, chi-chi. The boundary of the forbidden painting and the green smoke seemed to be on par with each other like water and fire. Mo Lang frowned, while Elder Lien sneered. Misty rain lotus. Elder Lien raised his eyebrows. Looking again, in an instant, tens of thousands of lotus flowers appeared in the green smoke. The lotuses began to attack Mo Lang's forbidden painting. Ka-ka-hoo. Half of the 1,000 feet of the forbidden map around Mo Lang instantly disappeared. This was the first time Mo Lang had encountered a cultivator who could break through his forbidden painting with just a spell. Venerable F.A. Lien is indeed not someone we can match. Jia Shusheng sighed. If he didn't use the world-listening divine brush, he definitely wouldn't be able to deal with Mo Lang's forbidden painting. However, the demonic husband's painting was like a clay tile in front of Elder Lien. Destroy. Elder Lien's expression turned cold. At the same time, he grasped the air with one hand. Looking again, Mo Lang was surrounded by a sky full of lotus flowers. The power of Venerable F.A. Lien caused the entire sky to distort. There were even black holes appearing in space. The entire fallen mortal town shook slightly. Mo Lang's expression changed. That was because his forbidden painting was almost completely destroyed. The mortal coffin buzzed incessantly. The power of Venerable F.A. Lien had somewhat exceeded his expectations. Looking again, Mo Lang narrowed his eyes slightly. He still had a Dao technique. However, he didn't want to use it unless it was absolutely necessary. At this moment, a vortex had already appeared between Mo Lang's eyebrows. Once this Dao technique was used, it might be able to injure Elder Lien, but there was a high chance that Mo Lang would die. Wind and smoke surged, and immortal power raged. Around Mo Lang, there were lotus flowers 300 feet away. They would soon devour Mo Lang. Mo Lang had no other choice. AMU, Master can't wait for you to break the seal. Mo Lang sighed in his heart. At the same time, his hands had already started to form seals. However, at this moment, he suddenly heard a delicate shout. Grandpa, I'm here. Looking again, he saw a purple figure suddenly rushing into the lotus flowers. Wherever the purple figure passed, the lotus flowers would wither. That purple figure was none other than Wang Shui. Senior brother child, capture this old fellow alive. This clone just so happens to have a lotus heart in it. Wang Shui shouted at Child White Lotus. All right. Child White Lotus leaped up and headed straight for Elder Lien. Oh, Elder Lien was slightly taken aback. He pointed at Child White Lotus and asked, "You, who are you?" Elder Lien had never been to White Mountain, so naturally he had not seen Child White Lotus. In his opinion, this Child White Lotus was also a ninth-stage Lotus warrior. Fighting him was practically courting death. Me? Hee hee. Child White Lotus grinned at Elder Lien. Who I am is not important. You don't need to know. The key is that I want to make soup out of you. Ignorant child. Elder Lien was infuriated when he heard this. This was because no one had dared to speak to him like this for many years. Elder Lien reached out with one hand. He actually directly grabbed at the White Lotus boy. Child White Lotus looked like he was only 7 or 8 years old. He looked cute and harmless. Elder Lien naturally knew that a cultivator could not be judged by appearance, but he still wanted to directly grab this child. In fact, he had already thought that if he could refine this ninth-stage Lotus warrior, he would definitely be of great use. Therefore, he directly reached out with his hand. Hee hee, Child White Lotus sneered. This was exactly what he wanted. He really did not want to use immortal techniques against the old man in front of him. Child White Lotus had always believed that there was no need to use immortal techniques if one could directly fight. Whoosh! Child White Lotus stomped his foot in the air. Boom! The world beneath his feet suddenly collapsed. This world could not withstand his brute force at all. At that moment, all the cultivators watching the battle were stunned. In the entire Luo Fan town, apart from Wang Shui, Lung Yu, and Gu Xing, no one knew the origins of Child White Lotus. However, this stomp of his foot was enough to prove his strength. That's the power of White Mountain. Jia Shusheng and Mr. Ren looked at each other. This was because that was the power that they could only use after using the law enforcement Lianbua. Moreover, they could only use it 3 times. However, that child in white could casually stomp his foot and use the power of White Mountain. In the Windwheel Village, Bai Lai narrowed his eyes and concluded, "He's a child of White Mountain." It seemed that Wang Shui was not telling the truth when she said that she did not go to White Mountain. Elder Lien's expression also changed slightly. At the same time, Child White Lotus had already reached out to meet his hand. Elder Lien's hand was the size of a normal person, and it had a faint lotus glow. Child White Lotus's hand was the size of a child's, and it was very tender. However, when they were less than 100 feet apart, Child White Lotus's palm suddenly emitted a white light. Bang! Child White Lotus's hand suddenly grew larger. Then, their hands were entwined in a death grip. When Elder Lien saw this, he secretly exerted force. However, Child White Lotus sneered and did not move at all. Oh no! Elder Lien had already understood, but it was too late. Hee hee! Old man, how dare you fight me? You're courting death. Child White Lotus shouted coldly. Then he exerted force with one hand and directly swung Elder Lien left and right in the air. Boom! Crack! Boom! Using Elder Lien's avatar as a whip, Child White Lotus instantly smashed the entire divine virtual world into pieces. Chapter 1121. In the universe, little boy White Lotus was like an invincible overlord. That scene caused all the cultivators in Fallen Mortal Town to be dumbfounded. Wang Shui, on the other hand, looked calm with a sneer on her face. You dare to bully the people of my Xing River? I'll let senior brother Tongzi hammer you to death. The fisherman? Who is this guy? Jia Shusheng exclaimed. I don't know. Mr. Ren shook his head. But he came back with Miss Shui. I think he should be someone from White Mountain. Hiss! Jia Shusheng gasped. The people of White Mountain had a different meaning. Donley shop. Hee hee. Boss Qian looked at his fallen mortal scale. Even White Mountain's people are here. This heavenly change was really interesting. This name doesn't seem to be able to describe White Mountain's weight. Shopkeeper, are they really from White Mountain? Little Shirtu asked. Other than the people of White Mountain, who else can beat up a clone of the Fa Lien King to such a state? Boss Qian snorted. Moreover, I don't think that the white-clothed boy used his full strength at all. Otherwise, the entire Fallen Mortal Town wouldn't be able to withstand his tyrannical power. Windmill Village. Old White, where did that White Lotus boy come from? Eldest senior brother Windmill asked. On that day, in the Galaxy Village, he really did not pay much attention to the little boy. White Mountain's boy, by Lai's side. With his combat power, I suspect that he's a boy under Grand Lotus Venerable. He must have used White Mountain's secret technique to suppress his cultivation. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to enter Fallen Mortal Town even if he was at the Fa Lien King realm. Can't you see that the Law Kings of the other villages can't descend? A boy under the Great Lotus Venerable? Dharma Lotus Monarch realm. The Windwheel philosophers' expressions changed when they heard this. For the first time, they felt that their cultivation was nothing. The boy of White Mountain had descended to the lower bound. His status was much higher than the Eastern Border Law Enforcer. However, why did the Great Lotus Venerable on White Mountain send his child down the mountain? The Windwheel Masters were puzzled. Bang! Child White Lotus shattered the last piece of the divine illusionary realm. Then, he reached out with one hand and pulled out Elder Lien's Lotus Heart. Ah, Elder Lien's clone had actually fainted a long time ago, but he still let out an instinctive scream. Boy White Lotus's hand directly pierced through his immortal heart. Bang! Elder Lotus's clone suddenly dissipated, and the White Lotus boy's hand was indeed holding a lotus petal. It emitted a dusky light. That lotus petal was no ordinary object. Little boy White Lotus laughed. 9th grade lotus seed soup. Unfortunately, in the eyes of boy White Lotus, it was just an ingredient. Senior brother Tongzi, this is just a doppelganger. Wang Shui said with a smile. We didn't kill a Dharma king. Am I right? Huh? White Lotus boy was stunned for a moment, and then nodded. That's right. We didn't kill a law emperor. Wang Shui nodded with a smile on her face, as if to say, we really understand each other. Thank you for your help, fellow White Lotus. Devil Lang cupped his fists to the side. It's my job. Don't stand on ceremony. White Lotus boy said proudly, and then asked Wang Shui, Junior Sister Shui, are we going to destroy another village or go back? Is this lotus petal enough to make lotus seeds? Grandfather? Wang Shui tilted her head and looked at Devil Lang. Let's go back to the village first. Devil Lang sighed. In Divine Void Village, if not for little boy White Lotus, this Dharma King doppelganger would have been a lose-lose situation. At present, Sumo had not been resurrected, and Black Lotus had not truly returned to Mozhan Village. They cannot be too aggressive. Wiping out Godly Void Village was enough. Okay, Wang Shui nodded. Thus, the three of them returned to Rushing Star River Village. Fisherman, let's go back too, Scholar said. Scholar, the changes in the sky will definitely accelerate, Mr. Rin said. Have you thought about where you're going? Scholar laughed. I haven't thought about where I'm going. I'll follow my heart. Me too, Mr. Rin said. The two of them walked and talked as they disappeared into the stars. Divine Void World. The real Elder Lien sat cross-legged in an empty hall. As for the entire Grand Hall, there was not a single person in sight. In truth, it wasn't just the Grand Hall. There were only a few cultivators left in the entire Divine Void World. After all, everything that needed to be purified had been purified. Elder Lien's face was pale, and blood flowed from the corners of his mouth. Part of his state was because he had lost a Dharma Lotus doppelganger, and the other part was because he was completely enraged by little boy White Lotus. When had he, the supreme Dharma Lotus, ever suffered such humiliation? Damn it! At this moment, Elder Lien slowly opened his eyes and spat out a mouthful of turbid air. Where did that white robe boy come from? How could he have such power? Love Monk Joy. Elder Lien made a hand seal and said, Do any of you know that white-robed boy? Which village is he from Luo Town? Umitba. Love Monk's voice sounded in the hall. I don't know who he is. I also know that boy Chicken. Joy Girl's voice sounded. Oomph. Elder Lien snorted coldly. I failed. I lost a doppelganger. Could the boy in white be someone from White Mountain? If he really is from White Mountain, then we are in trouble. From White Mountain. Love Monk and Joy Girl both repeated Elder Lien's words, and then fell into a brief silence. I need to recuperate for some time. Elder Lien said tiredly. What do you think we should do next? I will send someone back immediately. Joy Girl's voice was a little heavy. My village will also recover immediately. Joy Girl, you are one of our trump cards. Love Monk didn't quite agree. Hee hee. Joy Girl sneered. Even White Mountain's power has appeared. If we're defeated one by one, then what is the point of having a trump card? Joy Girl is right. Elder Lien said in a low voice. Black Lotus should have also sped up. Once he comes back, things will be easy. Good. Love Monk nodded. I still have one more disciple that I can send. I have him appear directly in Sumera Temple, and then I will let him meet up with Joy Girl. If the two villages become one, then one of us can actually completely descend. Hee hee hee. Joy Girl laughed. Little Monk, this is a good idea. If the two villages become one, then we can withstand the power of Dharma Lotus. However, I also long to become one with you. Amitba. Love Monk chuckled. Once I enter the true path, I am willing to share bliss with Joy Girl. It's a deal. There was no more sound in the hall. Elder Lien let out a long sigh and raised a hand. Whoosh! A middle-aged cultivator directly appeared in the hall. Master. The middle-aged cultivator cupped his fists respectfully toward Elder Lien. He was a 9th stage Lotus Knight, and was one of the few cultivators in the divine virtual world. Elder Lien looked at the middle-aged cultivator and said helplessly, Your master is seriously injured. Master. When a middle-aged cultivator heard this, a trace of panic flashed across his eyes. Immediately, an array appeared under his feet. However, the array only appeared halfway before disappearing. An apologetic look appeared on Elder Lien's face. Don't worry, your master will remember you. As he spoke, Elder Lien made a grabbing motion with one hand. The cultivator was immediately pulled into Elder Lien's hand. He could not break free at all. Master, spare me. However, Elder Lien completely ignored him. Purify. As he spoke, he opened his lotus mouth and actually dared to swallow the 9th stage Lotus Knight. There was no other way. That was the fastest way for him to heal. Vast Universe Purifier. This was how their cultivation was originally like. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.